Oh, yeah, baby. It's been a while. Far too long since you heard the brass on a positive Friday. How are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website, where all the revenue stays right here in the province. If you do dabble, be sure to use your game sense. Stay within your limits. GameSense.ab.ca. I'm Jason Gregor. This is Sports 1440 as we wrap up our first week back after a little bit of a summer hiatus. Unplanned, of course, but you know what? When one door closes, another one opens. And man, many of you have ran through this door listening to us. We really appreciate it. I can't even do proper justice explaining how much it means to us with all the positive reaction from people around the city and outlying areas who have just, mentioned how nice it is to have Sports Talk Radio back, and then the show and Lowetide and Connor. And of course, we welcome Kevin in, and then all our new co-hosts. And, it's been an awesome week, and we hope to finish strong. Today, Con Man has set up a great lineup. Again, we will be hearing from Lorianne Muenzer, of course, Olympian. She's actually going to be the regular Monday co-host on the Kevin Carey Show. So be a lot of fun. We'll talk to Lori today. Also, we'll have speculated by Bruce Boudreau. Remember did you know that Slapshot, some of those scenes were actually filmed in his apartment? True story. Bruce was told me that on the DFO rundown a while ago. It was classic. So we'll talk to Bruce, who's now a senior advisor for the Niagara Ice Dogs. Also, Matt Verderam will join us. I wonder, have the KC Chiefs receivers dropped a ball in the last 2 minutes? Oh, my goodness. Oh, collectively, can anybody out there think of a game where the wide receivers as a group were as bad as the KC Chiefs wide receivers last night against Detroit? Can you honestly, can you think of one? Because, man, that was pitiful. Pitiful. It was stunning. How many, there were some throws that were like right in your hands, man. Right in your hands. Hey, and it wasn't like it was, Mahomes just throwing a bullet. Like some of those, he was Ricky Raying them, just accurate right in there, like little pillow throws that you're just like, oh, this just softly falls right into between my hands. No big deal. And they still couldn't catch it. I was blown away watching that one. Now, obviously, it's one game, and idiot GM decision of the week in fantasy football right here. Right here. I thought old Sky was going to go to new limits for KC. Did not happen. Might as well not even addressed. God, that was terrible GMing by mine. You know what? Connor even said at the end of the show, play Kenneth Walker Jr. Or the third, I should say. And I didn't. Awful. So it's only one day, and I've already got a terrible GM record. So the only good news, hey, it can only go up from here. It can only go up from here. Wanye Gretz will be by Livingston. Usually we do it every Thursday, but he was golfing in the Special Olympics tournament yesterday. Volvo is a huge sponsor of that tournament. I've been able to golf in it. Couldn't this year just because it was our first week back on the gig, and I didn't think it would be a great time to take off. So Carius filled in for me with Colin and Deli and Darren. They had a great time. I'm telling you, if you've ever had the opportunity to golf in the Special Olympics golf tournament, do it again. Because it's great. Like, it is, honestly, one of my favorite charity golf tournaments I've ever been a part of. Just, there's so much positivity amongst the Special Olympic athletes. And, I love the bravado, the confidence that they have when you ask them about where they were, what they do in the Special Olympics. Some of them have gold medals, silver medals, bronze. It's amazing. And they're so excited to tell you the story every time. I love it. It's uplifting. I think they raised over $150,000 yesterday, which is fantastic. So it's a real cool event. And you know what? If you didn't play in it and you're looking to, they always do it in September. They always do it that Thursday. So I think it's like the 7th, 8th, 9th, give or take. You should sign up. You'll feel better about yourself. I'll tell you that. So Livingston will be by, as I mentioned, Spec, as always, will join us at 5 o'clock. And we might have the OC, the new OC of the Edmonton Elks, Jarius Jackson, who's just in between film work. And so we're hoping he can slide in today on the show. Obviously, we'll have lots of feedback from you. You can text us 833-401-1440 is the text line. You can email us or Jiffy Lube inbox, Gregor at sports1440.ca. There's a few things to discuss, and I'm kind of perplexed. Like, I know people talk about it like, well, yeah, why is anybody surprised? Because before I'm even going to mention it, I just want to say, why should anybody be surprised? Where else would they go? Leon Draisaitl re-signing in Edmonton. The only story is if he doesn't. It shouldn't be a surprise that he does. Why wouldn't he? Him and Connor McDavid are like best friends off the ice. They've got a unique chemistry and intuition with one another on the ice, virtually unmatched by any duo in today's NHL. Is there a duo when they're on the ice together that's as dangerous consistently as McDavid and Draisaitl and can do things that very few other players can do? Because that's the thing. One shift when, they're on the power play, and the odd time 5-on-5, which is less and less, which I think is good. But just watch how they play off one another. If you're Leon Draisaitl, why would you go anywhere else? And if you're Connor McDavid, why would you? Like, Leon for sure can't play with a better player. And I'd argue that Connor can't. Right? Like, who would be a better player for Connor McDavid to play with if he wanted to leave? So, I know every time someone talks about it, I'm like, we've mentioned this for a year. Like, there's really no reason for Leon Draisaitl to leave. He's going to get paid. Right? I know people are like, they can't afford both. Why? Why can't they afford both? Are suddenly those two players not going to be contributing? Are they not going to live up to their contracts? They could sign 7-year deals and then 8-year deals, and they both would do it. No problem. The cap's going up. So Draisaitl's going to go from 8.5 to, 12.5, 13. Honestly, I don't see it a big deal. And I just think Oilers fans, Oilers Nation, should not really fret about it too much. I know you've seen players in the past leave for a variety of reasons. A, in the past, the owner didn't have money. Then B, the team didn't have money, so they didn't spend any money. But the Oilers don't have to sell off players anymore. And they're actually competitive. So on a positive Friday, don't even fret about it. Don't worry. The bigger story is if they don't sign, and I think that is virtually very, very low possibility of happening. So I just don't see it. I keep seeing those stories out all the time, and I'm like, why? Oilers fans, be confident. Your team's good. The players like the city. They like the team. They like the organization. They got some of the best facilities in the league. Right? They want to win. There's very few places that they could go right now where they would have a better chance to win. It's just how it is. So it might be hard for some people to wrap their head around, but it's just the facts right now. Speaking of winning, Elks need a big win tomorrow night to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. You never know. They obviously wasted a good opportunity this past Monday. Good game, highly entertaining game. So we'll see how they bounce back. I expect all they need really is to kind of just continue how they played in the first quarter. Now, if we do get Jarius Jackson on, we'll talk about as great as Trey Ford was, I think ideally they would like to be more of a threat through the air on Saturday. No question about it. You want to be a little bit more of a threat. It's a CFL, man. It's great to have a scrambling quarterback, but more often than not, you're going to win when you have a passing quarterback. The fact that he can pass 250, 300 yards and then rush for 80 yards, awesome. But pass first league, still in my mind, no question about it. Got a lot of texts flying in at 401-1440. Hey, Gregor, Draisaitl will sign. Will be just about more than Matthews, and Connor will sign. Will be the highest paid player at the time. Seems pretty obvious to me. From Sitcom guy. Well, yeah. Now, and here's the big question. So, if McDavid and Draisaitl, who I firmly believe want to win, and I don't like the word hometown discount per se, because there's a few things that really never discuss when people talk about, well, yeah, Tampa Bay Guess what? They have no taxes. So it's a benefit to them. Okay. But if you're a Canadian player who lives year-round in Canada, like Connor McDavid does, guess what? Playing in a Canadian city where you get paid in American funds, that's a big advantage. It's a huge advantage, especially right now, the way the dollar is, right? It is massive. So McDavid right now is getting paid what? 13.5 mil, right? Give or take. So, and it's in American money, which I think that's going to be about what? 16 mil? Might even be upwards of the way it's at. I just typed it in. So if he's at 13.5, that's 18.4 Canadian. 18.4. So think about that. If we're talking taxes, right? And that's where his home is. So he doesn't have to worry about it. If you're an American player who then resides in the U.S. and you know what? Everything you're paying is in the U.S., it's a little bit different. But if you're a Canadian player who lives in Canada year round, big benefit. Heck, Matthias Ekholm is a Swedish player who lives in Canada now year round. Big advantage. So not talked about a lot, something that should be mentioned more because it doesn't help the Canadian teams, but it definitely helps the players. It's just simple math. So, and it's not a bad number, right? Like I know his cap hit is 12.5 mil. He was making, I have to look if it was 30. There's a few years he was making 13.5, but whatever. 12.5 is what? 17 mil. Still pretty good. I don't think he's missing a meal, if you know what I'm saying. So there are so many reasons why Edmonton's attractive for Draisaitl and McDavid. And I just think that more Edmontonians, more Oiler fans need to accept it, embrace it, and actually believe it. Because it's true. Hey, Gregor, I must admit, I don't agree with everything you say, but the time without sports radio made me realize how much I respect your opinion. Welcome back from Rob. Oh, hey, Rob, you know what? If we all agreed all the time, that would be boring, right? Boring. So, you know what? It's true. I can respect different opinions. It's also boring if we're all like, oh, yeah, I agree. If we all agree, that would be terrible. Like, how could we all agree on everything? Some days you might agree with my take on Draisaitl. The next day you might disagree with mine on Nugent, Hopkins, or Hyman. Awesome. That's what we like. We want different opinions on the show. For sure. So, I'm not one, like I see people all the time, you know, when they're like, they make a post on social media. If you believe in this, unfriend me. And I'm like, pardon? So wait a sec. Because the person doesn't believe in one thing that you believe in, now you don't want to talk to them ever? You might want to look in the mirror because I think you're the bigger problem. And the worst part about that is they're like, unfriend me. They don't even have the guts to unfriend the person themselves. It's like the most passive-aggressive thing to ever do. It's like the worst. And I've commented on a few people who said, why don't you just unfriend them yourself if you're so offended by it? Hey, boys, any thoughts on Patrick Kane when he comes back? Well, yeah, if you look at the timeline, Patrick Kane likely going to be healthy December, maybe January. And Patrick Kane, at that point in the season, is going to have his choice of where he wants to go. Now, there's one team that should, and I say should because should and will are different because they've never done it yet. But the Buffalo Sabres should be competitive. He's from there, and they got a lot of cap space. Patrick Kane signing midway through the season in Buffalo to help them end what is currently the longest drought in the NHL without the playoffs, 12 years. That would be a big deal. They could use him. So I think Patrick Kane, I know that, you know, the player you saw with the New York Rangers this year wasn't the dynamic Patrick Kane. Well, yeah, it's because he wasn't healthy. He has a surgery, and if I'm Patrick Kane, I have no reason to rush back. Like, why do I have to rush back and get in on December 28th if I can wait till January 15th? Right? Like, there's no urgency. There's none for him. He doesn't need the money. Trust me, he's made a lot of money. He doesn't need that extra paycheck for 2 weeks or even a month. I don't think it matters. But I'll tell you right now, He's going to be a big addition, I believe, to any team. He's a proven playoff performer when healthy. And now that he has this surgery, you know what? And especially because if you sign him in January, even in February, now he's got a few months to catch up to speed come playoff time. Man, I think it'd be good. Real good. Hey guys, I don't know why Edmonton gets such a bad rap. The city's beautiful. Lots going on. Those who don't know talk trash just because from Lance. True. And there's some people in Edmonton now. I don't even, if somebody says, oh, I don't like this aspect about Edmonton, that's fine. But there's lots of aspects to like. You can go to any city and find something you don't like, right? People love the nightlife and the opportunity to do so much in New York. Do you like the smell on the streets? Probably not. But you take the good with the bad because usually you decide to say, I'm going to focus more on the good than the bad. Just like in Edmonton. Yeah, does it suck when it's minus 30? 100%. Well, unless you're an automotive shop, because then there's a little fender bender, everything's breaking. Right? You're a tow truck company. You don't mind the minus 30. Business is good. So it all depends on perspective. Connor Halley with us as always. Con man, can you, I know you were feverishly, I don't know if you were researching over there or not, but were you trying to find out worst receiving game in NFL history collectively by a group?
Well, I mean, I never had to ask, but Miami Dolphins fans are very quick to mention that Tua Tagovailoa's receivers dropped 14 passes in his first career start. So I can tell you
that's a good one.
I mean,
every
team wants to bring up their quarterback struggles. I do want to say very quickly, Gregor, we had a text come in about our survivor pool.
Yeah.
You can still enter. So if you hypothetically did pick the Chiefs last night to win and you're thinking, oh, dang, I'm out already, you kind of get a chance to have a mulligan. So you can join until Sunday. And if you want to go over on Twitter to
what kind of fraud contest are you running here?
I don't make the rules about this website. We went there and it's allowing people to join still.
I guess some would argue that you're smarter, but hey. If you lost on the first possible game, now maybe you can come all the way back around, right? It's like a chip in a chair, to make a poker analogy. I guess you have a chance to get back in. But
yeah,
I would love to know those 11 people. If you have their names, just follow them to see if any of them get past week 5.
I know Lance is one that texts in a lot. He was pretty heartbroken today. But if you go on Twitter at Fantasy Frenzy AM, the link is posted. We pinned it there on Twitter. So people, if they want to get in still, they can. If it's your second entry because you picked the Chiefs, there will be an asterisk beside you, but we're allowing you to get back in. But yeah, Gregor, that there was the one shot of Kadarius Toney, the ball in his hands on the numbers, and it turns into a pick 6. It was unbelievable. I had the dream about Kadarius Toney scoring a touchdown. I didn't mean it that way, but pretty brutal.
Nightmare.
And you saw it when the game was on the line and Mahomes is trying to find, old reliable. Travis Kelce wasn't out there, and the other guys just were not making plays. I know MVS, Marcus Scalding had a good play, nice little catch there, took a hit to make a play, but it just wasn't enough. Are you nervous as a longtime Chiefs fan?
No, it's one game. One game, dude.
You're not shook by this?
No. And here's the thing. They could go to the waiver wire and easily find a receiver capable of just holding on to the ball. Because honestly, because those catches, it wasn't like they were hard. As you mentioned, the one looked like it was right in his hands. And there was the other one later on that went right through his hands. Like, Kadarius Toney was, honestly, he was Clifford Franklin. You guys know who Clifford Franklin is from The Replacements? Right? Now, Clifford Franklin had one of the greatest lines ever. We'll get to that in a second. But Clifford Franklin, early in the receiver, in that movie, couldn't catch a cold. Right? He was brutal. Well, that's what Kadarius Toney was last night.
Now, on the flip side, what do you think of the Lions?
Well, I think they're better, but I don't know. Like their O-line on that Montgomery touchdown, go watch the replay and look at the blocking from the O-line. It was amazing. Montgomery's just like, hey, how you doing? He's almost untouched into the end zone. It's fantastic. So their O-line, I thought, lived up to it. But they beat the Chiefs by 1 without Kelce and with drop-itis all over the place. So I'm not yet going to anoint the Lions as they've arrived. It'll be good for their confidence because they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But they're going to have to play better. Right? I think they can win their division because I don't think that division is that good. And that's good for them. It's baby steps, right? Considering where they were the last few seasons, heck, getting into the playoffs, that'll be a monumental win. So I don't mind Detroit. I like them, actually. But I'm not, last night didn't make me think, oh my goodness, this is a team to watch out for. Like, they do have Jared Goff. I'm still not a big Goff fan. So we'll see. Come back. I got a lot of texts to get to. We'll try to track down Jarius Jackson, OC, with the Edmonton Elks, as you were listening to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 live in the eWell broadcast studio.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Try their new one-topping garlic or spicy garlic epic stuffed crust for just $21.99 for a limited time only at papajohns.ca.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
The Brass Bonanza's back on a positive Friday. The texts are flying in. People are loving it. 833-401-1440 is where you can text us, email us. Gregor at sports1440.ca. Connor at sports1440.ca. Boys, I could have brought Terrell Owens out of retirement and he would have done better last night. It's true. Without question. It's true. Heck, Jerry Rice. JR, he's got to be 50. Maybe 55. He still could have, just run an easy crossing pattern. Just catch the ball 6-8 yards every time. No big deal. So
60.
He's 60, JR?
Yeah. He'll be 61 in October.
Oh, my goodness.
But he still would have caught the ball.
Yeah. Like when you think of football, though, in the NFL, it's like the one position that there's no debate on who the greatest receiver is. Though people will still debate quarterbacks because, some people say Brady, sure. But then there's others that will say, hey, wait a second. We're just talking the actual skill set of the position. There's some argument. Jerry Rice, it's the one position. People will debate who's the best O lineman, who's the best D lineman, linebacker, cornerback, whatever. Receiver, it's Jerry Rice, and then everybody else.
The 2-minute warning with Cam.
Jerry Rice put up those numbers in the era where the running back was still a major focus. That's what was so impressive.
And you could get beat up by a corner.
Oh, yeah.
You were getting grabbed. And so who's number 2? I mean, that would be the debate, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you could have lots of really good discussions on, maybe the most gifted receiver might have been Randy Moss. Just on sure gift.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Megatron, some would say, hey, wait a sec. Moss was just so fast. Like when Randy Moss turned on the Jets, I don't know if anyone could catch him.
He could jump too.
Oh,
just
yeah.
a freak athlete.
Yeah, he was good. Hey, guys, afternoon. What do you think of all the missed calls? A ton of people say the Chiefs get benefit of calls. They're the champs playing the Lions. Do you think it might have been a little rust on the old bumper on the refs? That one comes from Filthy in Calgary. Well, I know now, Connor Halley, as you were watching that game, you're probably watching the right tackle on the Chiefs, and you're like, I've seen this before.
Brought back some bad memories from a cold night in January, Gregor, as Jawan Taylor, maybe not every time, a lot of the time jumping, a little bit of a false start. He's so far back to get that advantage. Remember when Joey Bosa was losing his mind?
Mm-hmm.
That's why, because there was false starts, Jawan Taylor standing so far back. I was sitting there smiling when he was getting put on blast. They're like, I don't know how they're not calling these penalties. And then finally at the end of the game, it was a clear one when he jumped. It was not even close. And I wonder, is the league going to talk to him? Like, buddy, what are you doing? You cannot stand that far back. I think he's going to have linesmen watching him with a microscope to what he's doing there.
Yeah, until they call him on it. Right? Because you are allowed, as the outside tackle, you are allowed to be a little bit off the line.
Yes.
Right? And so it's kind of discretionary. And then I remember talking to people is the angle of TV sometimes will skew what it actually looks like. Because if they're on let's say the ball's on the 40-yard line, if the camera isn't on the 40-yard line, the angle they're taking changes what we see on TV to actually what it looks like on the field. And if we're talking 3-4 inches, well, that makes it look way bigger. So
yeah,
I remember Bud Steen was explaining that to us a few times. So, I don't know. Like, obviously, it looked like at times like his timing was pretty close, though.
Oh yeah, I'll give him credit.
His timing seems to be right on. He knew, ball snap. Like, I'm going at the same time. Tie goes to the O-lineman in this case. Tie goes to the O-lineman. So,
but yeah, it opened up some old wounds for sure for me.
Yeah. It's a tough one for you.
Yeah,
tough one. So
took me a while to get over that.
You'll be fine.
A couple of times in the summer they'd replay that game too. Just open it up again. Yeah. NFL Network, but still good to see football back, even if we're complaining. Social media is a lot of fun on these primetime games.
Hey boys, awesome first week. Brass Bonanza just put a cherry on top. Wasn't sure how the co-host would be, but I was pleasantly surprised. Why is there no coverage of Reed leaving the Stingers? Hardly even mentioned on the sports update from Framer Johnny. Well, we did mention it because it happened literally like right at the end of the show for us. And Reed Clark I exchanged a text message with him, and this, I'd seen people like to speculate, so I'll clear the air. There's nothing, doesn't have. I know there's lots of people saying, "Oh, is he going to? Were the Elks going to hire him? Is he going there?" And he told me no. He has nothing as of right now in the hopper. This was just a decision where he felt like he had kind of reached the peak of what he wanted in the direction of the organization and where they were going and what his view was. So, and anybody who's been in business will tell you that at times, right, you reach a point where you're like, okay, maybe I've accomplished anything I accomplished, or there's a little bit of stalemate and people disagree on the direction of where it's going to go in the future. And if you're not comfortable with that, then you got to make a decision. So you look at them last year. What did they sell out? 6 games? 6 out of 60% of their games were sold out. That's outstanding. I don't think they ever had to sell it before. The Stingers have really tapped in to this community. I think people enjoy going to the games. It's a great atmosphere, I'll tell you that. It's fantastic. My son loved it. I liked it. Right? You're so close to the action. So that's number one. But then because to me, I've never understood if you want to say it's family affordable, you can't have $15 tickets or $18 tickets or $20 tickets and then have a $10 or $12 beer. It's just not, it's not saying that people go there to get bombed, right? But it's like, it's $10 for this and $6 for a hot dog and what have you. They had chicken fingers and fries for $5. And a burger for $5. You could get beers for $5. You get popcorn for $2. And so now that people go to the game, and even if you want to increase your ticket price by $2, people's like, well, I don't care. I'll pay $20 a ticket because I know they're not going to have to spend $100 on top of it inside. They figured it out. They have a great atmosphere. I love the rules that they have in the CBL in the final 4 minutes. It's a race to basically next team who scores. If you're leading 70 to whatever it is, 70 to 50, 70 to 60, whatever, if you're at 70, then first team to 79 wins after the first stoppage, under 4 minutes to go. It eliminates the endless trip to the foul line, or at least reduces it, I should say. There's not nearly as many timeouts after timeout after timeout. It speeds the game up. It's really enjoyable to watch. It's good basketball. I really like it. So, the Stingers, you know what? The replacement has some pretty big shoes to fill because look at the success they had from a business standpoint. And that was his job. He wasn't in charge of GM. He wasn't the GM. He wasn't a head coach, just on the business development side. And he did a fantastic job. His whole team did a fantastic job. So I'll be curious to see who comes in. The good news is the person that comes in there, you're inheriting something positive. You're like, wow, we have season ticket holders who are happy. We have sponsors who are happy. So it's almost like just don't screw it up. And you should be okay. So. Hey, guys, I was a Daily Gregor Show listener, so I'm happy to have the boys back. By the way, RA was a terrific guest yesterday. Great job from Cracker Jack. Well, that's our executive producer, Bradley. It's got, as I said, the young Brad man has a really good Rolodex. He had Carl Weathers, Apollo Cree on in week 1, and he's got lots of other guests lined up, which is going to be very exciting in the coming weeks. So very much looking forward to that. Hey, Gregor, finally someone said it, thankfully. I don't understand why there's always this little bit of concern in Edmonton that, we're not good enough. The Oilers are good. The best players here are good. My other question is, how many best players have left their teams in free agency outside of John Tavares? Thanks from Nick. Well, Nick, I guess Alex Pietrangelo in recent memory would be one, right? He left St. Louis. Obviously, they miss him. And he was able to win a Stanley Cup in Vegas a few years after signing there. So that would be one. But I'm trying to think of other top UFAs who left in free agency. There's just not a lot, right? It doesn't happen very often because most of the teams are fairly competitive. Like, where is a team 2 summers from now that you would look like, is there any reason why you think the Oilers are suddenly going to fall off? There's no reason to. You got McDavid. You got Draisaitl. You got pretty good depth up front. Got a solid defense core with young guys who probably still have ways to go to improve, which is nice to see. There's a little bit of questioning in goaltending. That's fair. But you could say that about a lot of teams. Like, there's really not a lot of reasons for Connor McDavid to leave. Think about it. His former agent is now the CEO of the team. I think he would know what Jeff Jackson stands for as far as a human, and then his thoughts on hockey. I think he'd be very comfortable having conversations with the Oilers CEO. And knowing if he's being given the truth or just, something nice. So that's where I'll come out at it. Hey guys, I love the Stinger games. I went to 3 games on weekends this year. I'll definitely be back. Hopefully nothing changes from Dan. Well, Dan, you're bang on about that last line. Like, if you're the Edmonton Stingers, it's not broke. Don't fix it. Just keep trying to improve it. Right? Like, if you go from 6 games sold out, obviously their goal is now to get to 7, 8, 9, or 10. Right? That's the goal. The goal isn't to go backwards. They have their protected list of their 8 guys, pretty much all their core they have on the protected list. So you should have a lot of the same guys back. So that's good. But what to me the Stingers proved was, as much as people want to go and like the team and go and see wins, they like to go when the experience is fun and it's affordable and it's enjoyable. And that's what they created this year. And I think it's something, the Edmonton Elks could probably take a page out of. Now, it's very different. I understand that. You got a massively bigger stadium, right? I don't expect the Elks to sell out 6 games next year, okay? But can they do things? It helps having exciting players too, don't get me wrong. Trey Ford, how many of you are like, I think I'm going to go to the game tomorrow because I want to see Trey Ford? Right now, Trey Ford is the guy that gets you out of your seat, off the couch, makes you want to watch the games. That helps. Hey, boys, is there a reason why he's Connor's former agent? Maybe something happened on good or bad terms. Banjo guy, are you being serious right now? I just said he's the Oilers CEO. Jeff Jackson's the Oilers' new president and CEO. He can't be the Oilers' CEO and president and McDavid's agent. Can't do it, right? You're not allowed. That's why he's not his agent, because he's now the CEO and president of the Edmonton Oilers.
Would that be the worst hire of all time if they ended on bad terms and then the Oilers hired him?
Yeah, they didn't end on bad terms.
Wouldn't be a good look.
No, they didn't end on bad terms. We got Cam Tate, Lorianne Muenzer coming up and more on the Positive Friday edition of the Jason Gregor Show on Edmonton Sports Station, Sports 1440.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports 20.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Sports betting is now live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at playalberta.ca.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100%
The 2-minute
Arabica
warning
beans,
with Cam
steeped
Tate on
cold and
Sports
slow.
14.
It continues on. Beautiful day out. Took Mabel for a walk around 10 o'clock today. And man, I was just loving this fall weather. Today was perfect. Obviously, last week wasn't necessarily great with the smoke and stuff. So it's nice to see the blue sky, not too hot, still t-shirt weather out. It's fantastic. Love it. So if you can, on a positive Friday, when you get out of work, go for a little stroll. Sit on the patio. It's positive Friday. Have some fun with it. So we'll get to Cam Tate momentarily. Got lots more text to get to. Really good conversation on the text line. Also on YouTube, everybody watching on Oilers Nation YouTube. I got a little poll going on up there. I like that. Hey, fellas. Stingers games are 100 times better over in Elks right now. They do a great job of making it more than just the game. Comes from Travis. And you know what? I think you're bang on. And I think sports organizations are learning that the game is obviously important, right? That's one of the main reasons why you go, but it shouldn't be the only one, right? And when you can add in other entertainment value for your audience, then they're going to go even more often. Because now all of a sudden they're like, especially if you bring your children and they're doing things that can make them. Now, I'm not saying that you have to change everything all to young kids. I totally understand that. But if you have a few little things here, you have a mascot that walks around. Sometimes that's 4 and 5-year-old kids. They're like, I got to see the mascot. I got to high five him. They want to go back, right? It's a simple thing. Happens once for 2 seconds. And then away you go. Hey, Greg's, don't forget the Riverhawks. Just as exciting. You know what? Hey, what about the Riverhawks game? And there's something cathartic about sitting in the bleachers, just kicking back, right? You have your... You have a beer, maybe you have a water, whatever you're drinking, right? You have some nuts. You have a hot dog. Like hot dog for me, like I'm not a huge peanut guy, especially not eating the shells. I still can't believe Strutty does that. Like every time I think of that and I see people eating peanuts, I'm like, how does he eat the peanut shells? Like, oh, it's the worst. Do any of you eat the peanut shells? Like it's like, I'm like, Strutty, you an elephant? But yeah. So I think more of the hot dog. You sit in a crowd, you got a hot dog and a beer, and it's a nice day outside. Right now, baseball is a lot quicker now, which is fantastic. But now you got to pay attention. That's the other thing. If you're going to be too casual at a ball game, then I always recommend sitting behind home plate because you got the protective mesh. But man, you sit down the line sometime, there's a foul ball that's high. If you're not paying attention, we've seen it on videos. Someone's taken one of the chiclets, not paying attention. So that's never good whatsoever. Also now, it's Pause Friday. We do this on Mondays and Fridays now on the show. Cam Tate, who has been a reporter in Edmonton for a long time, has written at the Journal. He's written the Edmonton Sun. For those who don't know, Cam has a cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair, and he's quite a funny guy. He used to do what he says was sit-down comedy back in the day. Really funny dude. But with his cerebral palsy, at times, it can be difficult to understand what he's saying. So he's always wanted to do some radio. So we're going to have, the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Here we go.
The 2-minute warning with Cam Tate on Sports 1440. I'm Brian from VoxBox reading Cam's words. Today, the number 2. Work with me now, the number 2. Here we go. For the Edmonton Elks, going to a home game has been as riveting as driving home on the White Mud Freeway in the afternoon. Not a lot to get excited about, but then the Trey Ford show made a bold statement Monday afternoon down there in Calgary, mixed in with razzle-dazzle, rushing for 135 yards for 11 carries. Listen to me now, 135 yards. One more yard than the old, keyword there, old, record from October 6th in 1966 by the legendary Russ Jackson. Ford is a quarterback. A quarterback there, Grandpa. And there's another juicy nugget to this tale. And what number does Mr. Ford have on his jersey? Number 2. Right? Now, if we do some Edmonton Eskimos and Elks research and ask if anyone notable might have worn number 2 and had dazzle-dazzle, there is only one Henry Gizmo Williams. Hear it again one time, Henry Gizmo Williams. Before retiring in 2000, the Jizz set many Canadian Football League records. One stat stands out from 1992 as a receiver. 52 catches, 950 yards, 18.3 average yards again. Listen again and work with me here. 52 catches for 950 yards, averaging 18 a catch. Ain't making that stuff up. It's in the record books. Now, it gives the Elks coaching staff a nice problem if they want. Do they keep Ford quarterback or stay with me here now? Make him a receiver or a running back or kickoff returner. I think, by golly, it's a legitimate question. Of course, the Elks would have to get another quarterback. At any rate, Ford has given the Elks a spark plug, something they needed badly. Can't wait for Saturday's tilt with the Stampeders. The jersey with number 2 keeps us entertained. I'd love to hear from you. Tweet at Cam Tate, camtate58@gmail.com for the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate on Sports 1440. I'm Brian from VoxBox.
Tater. This is the second one. He's getting better already. I like it. Some interesting numbers of Tate, man, going into the record books there. I like the number 2 reference because, honestly, if we're talking just pure exciting players in the history of the green and gold, as great as Warren Moon was, I think the most exciting player to ever wear the green and gold was Henry Gizmo Williams. He was a kick returner. So you might go 10 minutes because if the other team's not punting, he's not getting the ball. Right now, eventually he became a receiver because they realized, man, we got to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. He's that dangerous. But how many of you would go to games and when the other team would punt, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, stop talking. I got to watch the Giz. That's how electrifying he was. And I'm not saying Trey Ford's a Giz because obviously very different position. But right now, on the green and gold, I think Tate's onto something, man. There is a lot of excitement surrounding the number 2. He's given the fan base a boost, no question. He's given the team a boost. And wins are great, but they lost on Monday. But you were still highly entertained because of Trey Ford. And that's why you need exciting players in the game. Because it's hard to win every game. Well, it's virtually impossible, right? Unless you're the Dolphins. One time. So, now I don't think they would move him to receiver or anything like that. But I think I'm very curious to see the evolution of Trey Ford. Because if you look at just the amount of snaps he's taken in his collegiate and pro career, it's such a minimal number. He hasn't even started 20 games combined yet. So where he can go in the future, it's pretty positive if you're a fan of the green and gold. You should be excited about it. Hey, boys. I love Cam Tate. First week, stellar Edmonton sports coverage. Thank you for stepping up, Gregor and team. That one comes from Skip Marv. Greg's, I love you're giving Cam an opportunity to voice his opinion. I can't wait till he starts ripping on guys. Cam's one of the funnier, dry, witty person I've ever met. Comes from Steve. Oh, I'll tell you. So when I first met Cam many years ago, and, so he introduced himself to me, and, and I'll be completely honest, and Cam and I would tell him this to his face. We've had lots of conversations, and it takes a while to understand some things. So sometimes you have to repeat it, or you'd pick up a few words and get the gist. But after a while, I kind of knew his cadence, and I'd understand what he wanted to say. And it was more so when you'd be having a conversation and someone would say something, and then Tate would just have a cutting line back. And probably one of the funniest ones ever was John Short. So John Short gets up at a speaking engagement. And they were honoring Cam Tate. And so John Short comes up and he's got this really eloquent speech. And he's talking about how just what an inspiration Cam is and what a great guy he is and how he motivates everybody because of all the things he's had to overcome in his life, right? And people are clapping. And then Cam Tate comes up and deadpanned, F you, John. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. It is still one of the greatest lines. Oh, we're going to have to get Shorty on to tell that story. Cause it was everybody's all heartfelt and and then Cam comes in and just lowers the boom. God, it was funny. Oh man. So he's got a real good sense of humor. He's obviously had to overcome a lot of challenges in his life and has never let him stop him. And so we want to give him the opportunity. And you know what? 2 for 2. He's hitting home runs with the 2-minute warning. I love it with Cam Tate. Coming up later on in the show today, we're very excited because it was Holiday Monday. We have yet to announce or hear from anyway our final morning show co-host, an Olympic gold medalist. So hey, save the best for last. No offense to any other guys, but pretty sure they didn't win Olympic gold medal. So she will debut on our show, kind of giving you a little bit of a background and announcement, and then you can hear her every Monday with Kevin Carius. So we have Lorianne Muenzer coming up later today. Also, we will hear from talk a little fantasy football. Spec will be by Bruce Boudreau. Always a good interview, good character guy. He is now, of course, a senior advisor for the Niagara Ice Dogs. Wanye Gretz from Oilers Nation will pop by. Livingston, lots of racing to get to. And, oh, man, I don't know. I'm guessing we're likely going to talk about Red Bull. Not Max Verstappen, because, hey, it's great what he's doing. But more so Checo and what's going on with him and the team owner. And obviously it looks like this is the end for him and Red Bull. He'll be driving somewhere else next year based on some recent comments, I would think. Anyway, so we'll get to all of that. We got lots more on the oil. We actually will hear from Leon Draisaitl in the final hour of the show as well today. Hey, guys, we used to use Cam golf tournaments as a fundraising contest. It was to outdrive Cam. Not everyone did. He was such a great sport. Oh, Cam's got a great sense of humor, man. Really good sense of humor. Hey, guys, love hearing sports back on the radio. Was sad the last few months without hearing you guys. All you're doing is a great job. Thanks so much. From David the German. All right, David the German. I like that. Any moniker you want to come up with, feel free. We save it in our trusty text line. And then you don't have to put your name on it in the future. As long as you put it on the first one, then it's up to us to save it. And away you go. Then we have your name, and it comes up in my text groove line, and boom, I know who I'm talking to, which I always like. It's a little bit more personal, I find. Whether we're agreeing or disagreeing, it's always better to know nickname, whatever you have. So that's fantastic. Let's get to the Con Man. Coming up with the Sports Center update brought to you by BIE Engineering, your structural engineering specialist. Whether you're in the process of renovation or building your dream home, BIE can help you out. Go to BIEENG.com. Here's Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update.
Down at Commonwealth as the Elks host the Stamps. That one's starting just after 5 o'clock. Also tomorrow, the Argos up against the Owls at 11 and the Riders in Winnipeg at 2. Tonight, the Red Blacks will take on the Tiger Cats. Kickoff at 5:30. Tonight down at Foot Field, the Golden Bears hosting the University of Manitoba. That one gets going at 7. On Sunday at the JP Bullets, the Huskies up against the Wildcats. That one starts at 1. Tonight out at Sherwood Park, the Crusaders will take on the Saints. That's a 7 o'clock start. And coming up in hour number 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by two-time Olympic gold medalist Lorianne Muenzer, also Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated, and we'll speed things up in the CanTorque Racing Report with Colin Livingston.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza.
Okay.
Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce.
The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971. Saving
If you can hear me
more.
on YouTube right now,
a premier hockey
Text
solution
in
with a clear
Go
path for
Dolphins
long-term development
on
is
YouTube.
proud to be entering
Go
its
Dolphins
7th
on YouTube.
season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes, born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
With shorter days ahead, that impending end of summer could get you down. I know, pal, the champ understands. But chin up, grumpy pants, because summer lives at the Canadian Brewhouse. We've extended the sensational season with extra heaters and wind blockers. Yeah, we're good, but hey, we ain't miracle workers. Weather will eventually dictate, but for now, soak it up, sunshine. Check out your favorite Canadian Brewhouse location for extended patio season at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
When you hire multiple companies for your industrial project, they'll charge you for their work and their coordination. I'll charge to coordinate with fabrication. I'll charge to coordinate with construction.
And I'll charge to coordinate with maintenance.
Next time, remember these 3 words. On-site projects. OSP does procurement, fabrication, construction, maintenance, and integrity services. And when they handle everything internally, you don't have to worry about cross-company coordination. Contact us today at ospforme.ca.
When it comes to your canola fields, yield is one of your top priorities. To help you maximize it, Invigor Hybrid
powered nut runners, 4 models from 500 to 3,000 foot-pounds with more on the way. Learn more at CanTorque.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And of course, we are coming to you live in the eWell studio, EWEL.ca, for all your electrical needs. Brass Bonanza is back. Put many of you in a good mood, including myself. I love the song. It's fun. It just gets me going. It's Positive Friday. I know the weekend is upon us. It's fantastic. Also fantastic now to get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take your team or group to their next destination. Book your ride today at silentrides.ca. And we welcome in, you will be able to hear her every Monday morning as a co-host with Kevin Carius. Of course, it was a long weekend. We weren't on, so she will make her Sports 1440 co-hosting debut on Monday. She will also be joining me as a regular every Friday. Of course, two-time Olympic gold medalist Lorianne Muenzer joins us. Lorianne, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Super excited to be here.
Now, so Lori, you got a lot of nicknames. Lorianne, LA, Muenzer. Is there a favorite that you have? Like, what should people call you? Like, if they're texting in, is it Lorianne? Does it have to be Lorianne? Does it have to be LA? Do you care? As long as they just don't call you late for dinner, what's the ruling here?
Well, as long as it's not late for dinner, I'm good with that. LA is awesome.
LA, okay.
Yeah.
I like LA. Hey, it's like, I love the song. I love LA, so why not? That's great. So, for those maybe who are unaware, let's give a quick little bio of Lorianne Muenzer, LA's sports career, specifically that culminated, of course, with those Olympic medals.
Oh my goodness. How much time do we have?
Oh, hey, don't worry. We got a lot of time.
Cool. 24 years ago, I came to Edmonton. And even before getting out of the airplane, I went, this is exactly where I want to be. Edmonton has an outdoor velodrome that was built for the 78 Commonwealth Games. And that is where I spent a lot of time turning left and going around in a circle. And when I got here, I had a dream of going to the Olympics. So got here August 31st. September 15th, I was at opening ceremonies in Sydney, Australia. September 16th, my event lasted 36 seconds, Olympic debut. And I said, I want to do it again, but I want to win an Olympic gold medal in 4 years' time. And that was the vision. I had a coach who was crazy enough to see what I saw, who said he wanted to go to the Olympics as well. I was his training partner. I was his driver as we were doing motor pacing on the velodrome, 50, 60, 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers an hour sometimes. And 2 Olympics, gold. It's still a blur. It's, 18 years ago. Seems like yesterday.
It's amazing when you say my first Olympic appearance was 36 seconds. And I really think that capulates. I've always said, I think the Olympics, it's obviously the biggest event in the world, but it's also arguably the most heartbreaking because people train for 4 years. You'll get one shot every 4 years. And depending on what your sport is, if you don't get out of the first round in cycling, well, thanks. We'll see you in 4 years. And the funny thing is, there's very few people who go to their first Olympics and are dominant, right? Like you kind of got to pay the piper, shall we say, which is no different than in pro sports and other ones. A lot of people got to get used to it, but there's just something about that. Were you expecting it to be 36 seconds? Like, was that a massive letdown, or did you kind of think, you know what, the first one's going to be a challenge?
Well, I was hoping for a world record. Didn't even come close. I'd been sick with the Aussie flu, and I just went, you know what, I'm going to just leave it on the track. Literally, it was 2 laps around a 250-meter track, which equates to 500 meters. It's a dead start, so you're locked into this apparatus. There's a countdown. You got to time it right to explode out. Hopefully, you don't get stuck and drag it. And you go as fast as you can until you cross the finish line. And then you look back and then you look to see all the times of where everybody before you has gone to see where you're sitting. I have no recollection of where that was, but it's just you have a vision, you have a dream, and that's what you prepare for.
And so the reason we wanted Lori on, we have a lot of co-hosts who have played team sports, which is fantastic. But getting an Olympic gold medalist, multi-Olympic gold medalist was pretty cool. But somebody who excelled in an individual sport, because I do think there's a bigger difference. Like you played team sports growing up, but then as an individual sport, it can be good and bad, I assume, because it can be great when you're like, you know what, if I do everything to my best of my ability, then it's on me. But at the same time, if I screw up, it's 100% on me. And so talk about the mindset that's different in an individual sport to a team sport and why maybe some people are better suited to be an individual athlete.
Well, number one, mindset in any sport, whether it's sport or, in business, you're a business athlete, or you're in school, you're a student athlete. It doesn't matter where you are. Mindset is everything. It is the first component. If you don't have the right mindset, you could also call it state of mind, is you're only going to go so far. And individual, you don't have as many people to think about, so you can really focus in.
Okay.
But in a team sport, you got to see everything, you have to feel everything, you have to know where everybody is, and there's certain things that they just happen. And you know when you're in that zone. And athletes know it really well. You also know it when you're in business, when it's just like you have that unstoppable feeling. And we're always trying to recreate that feeling again, that experience, or do it again, and then do it again and again and again. And your mindset is going to either put you where you want to go, or else it's going to just like put you in the dirt. It's just like done. You get crushed, absolutely crushed.
Now, when you mentioned after the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, it's like, okay, you know what? 36 seconds. I was sick. Didn't go away. I'm going to be a gold medalist in 4 years. That's a real big high bar to set for yourself, right?
Well, hang on. Even being sick, I did a personal best. I did a Canadian record, and I went,
okay,
this is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I think it's awesome to have
What could
that.
happen if I was 100%?
Yeah. Now, how long did you live with that what if moment? Or were you able to say, I'm moving on from that? I can't live in the what if. What if I would have been healthy? What if? Because
no.
Yeah,
No.
you let it go quick?
No, you got to let it go.
Okay.
Because otherwise you carry it, and then you got the devil and the angel sitting on your shoulders. Yeah, you can do it. No, you can't. And it's just, no, I decided right after that, when I got on my rollers after walking off the track, literally, that I was going to do it in 4 years. In the sprints, I was going to do the 500 event again, but the sprints is where the gold was.
Yeah.
And that is like a whole other mind game. So not only being one day of events at a Grand Prix or an international race, it's 2 days at a World Cup, World Championships. It was 3 days at the Olympics. So you can typically keep it going really good for one day, good for 2 days. But when you start moving into the 3 days, you're talking a roller coaster, up, down, up, down, up, down. It flips you every which way to Sunday and Monday.
Do you have to, and this is hard, but can you save some energy for day 3 when you're in that type of event? Or is it just like, no, I got to go everything I have and then hope to refuel, and then go everything I have again and then hope to refuel and hope that I got everything left on day 3?
Well, it's cat and mouse. One person leads, the other person follows in sprinting. You only have 3 laps, so you got to get it right. There is no room for error. I don't have 100 kilometers to make up for an error. I have sometimes 1/1000th of a second, boom, to flip it around. And you just take one heat, one race at a time. Because we started with qualification. Then we were 1/16th finals, which is a one shot. You win, you move to the next round. You don't, you go into the losers round, the repechage. Then there's the 1/8 finals, another one shot. Then when you get into the quarters, the semis, and the finals, then it's the best 2 out of 3. So very similar to tennis. And it's just, you go, you get on the track, you do what you've seen in your head. Hopefully it goes that way. If not, you course correct. And then you get off, you cool down, and then you reset.
Lorianne Muenzer joins us. She will join me every Friday, but she will be co-host with Kevin Carrius every Monday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. How did you get into cycling? Like, were you all like, yeah, hey, I grew up out of Kuahara, you're riding bikes as a kid, but when did you be like, hey, I think I can be a cyclist?
Always had a bike as a kid. My grandpa repaired them, replaced them, so we always tested them. It wasn't until I was about 22. I was living in Toronto. I was 180 pounds. I was 28% body fat, which is way more than I really thought I was and wanted to be. And I was working. I was spending money more than I could make it. And I was bored. So I'd gotten a mountain bike, 44-pound mountain bike. And I'd go out to Hamilton and back 8 hours a day. I was doing a 40K route, loved it, got faster and faster. And after 4 weeks of doing that, I decided I wanted to race. So I opened the Yellow Pages, bottom right-hand corner. I don't know if you remember the Yellow Pages.
Yes.
I mean, who remembers the Yellow Pages?
Yeah.
Bottom right-hand corner. I love the logo. I called the guy. He says, hey, I got a bike for you. I said, yeah, I'm 5'10". The bike was too small. He didn't realize I had really long legs, and upgraded to a bike that was worth $1,000 and got the equipment. And I said, okay, hold on a second. I don't have the money for this. I got to go get a loan. So I went and saw the TD manager.
You got a loan just to get the bike?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
A helmet, a jersey, shorts, shoes, pair of sunglasses, set of gloves because you want to protect your hands. And the bicycle was $1,000.
And so, like, how did you find someone to train you, or did you train yourself for the first bit?
Well, I was the only girl with 10 guys, and I was trying to keep them. And, they do the sheepdog thing. I don't know if you know about that.
No, what's that?
Well, you start together, and then the guys would go, okay, we're going up the road. So they go off, and I'd be like going as fast and as hard as I could, and I could not catch them. And then they'd come back and check on me, and then they'd go again. And eventually I started getting faster and faster. But my specialty, which I didn't start to hone into until years later, was short, flat, fast racing. They call them criterions.
Yeah.
Now that's where I excelled. And then I was sheepdogging with them.
So what was it about? Is it body composition? Is it, you got really powerful legs? What allowed you to be better at the sprints?
I don't know. I can jump really high in basketball, volleyball.
Okay.
So I think genetically I have that.
Okay. So you got some good hops.
Yeah. And I used to chase the buses in the neighborhood, see if I could beat it to the end of the line. My dad was a bus driver with the Toronto Transit Commission. So he would tell me horror stories with the couriers. So I knew, like, stay in the mirror with the driver, and you make eye contact. He goes in to pick up the people. I'm like, yes, go. And then I'd buoy it and just book it to the next stop. And I hear the bus coming up, and I'd slide on over and wave them on. And it was 12 minutes from one end in the junction, from end to end.
So you would just race on your bike?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And then you have stoplights.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have the cars too. So you're watching, looking. It's a blast. It's a rush.
That is a very unique practicing environment, shall I say. So then when was the first time you got on a velodrome?
Oh my gosh. I was with Des Dickey. I met him at a trade show because Tanya Dubnikoff had won in 1999 the Pan Am Games in Winnipeg. And I wanted an autograph. Well, Clara Hughes was there. We all know Clara, like speed skater, goddess,
pretty good multi-athlete.
Just amazing woman. So I was talking with her, and then Tanya comes on. She goes, how do you know Clara? And I'm like, well, I race with Clara. Clara would just tromp all over us. And diesel engine, just go. But when it came to the sprint, I'd open up the can and just go, see you later. And so I started talking with Des. Clara said something to Des. I have no idea what it was, but Des goes, I want to talk to you about the national team. You'd be great for sprinting. I'm like, okay, sign me up. I had no idea. Nobody told me my bike has one gear and no brakes, and you ride on a 37-degree banking, 45 degrees sometimes, 54. Yeah. Oh, and you can't stop pedaling. You can't coast.
Ever?
No. If you do, you're ass over tea kettle. You go up over the handlebars.
What?
Yes, because it's direct drive. It's the track bike is the adult version of a tricycle, except your feet are locked into the pedals, so you cannot stop. It's direct drive.
And it's funny. Now, I watched the race, so obviously I knew in the race you never stop pedaling, of course, but I didn't know that if you actually just if by chance somehow you're locked, you're clipped in, so you're probably never going to slip out. Or do you ever come unclipped in a race?
I didn't, because I had double leather straps with Kevlar.
But you've seen people do it?
If they didn't have straps around their feet. Yeah. Because that's the danger when you're sprinting. You start off winding it up about 50, 60, 70 kilometers an hour. And then, you punch it, you're about, 75. You don't want your feet to come out.
So in the race, you're going 75 kilometers on that bank?
I think we were going 60. I think the average speed was 59.
59?
So we got over 60.
Yeah. And that because, there's anybody who's seen the tracks, there's not like there's massively long straightaways when you're on a bike.
Nope.
You come around it. Now, how many crashes, if you have to look, like how many crashes did you have in your career?
I don't count them. We don't talk about them. I've had a couple spectacular ones.
Break any bones when you wiped out?
My first one, I busted my collarbone. Okay. Didn't know it was broken. 2 guys tried to pull me apart to put it back together again.
Well, that must have felt nice.
Didn't work. Yep. So I've had some bad crashes on the track, off the track.
And so do you still watch all the time cycling? Like, are you a diehard cyclist?
When I can catch it, if I'm not out riding my bike, for sure.
So you still ride all the time now? Do you do you do sprints for fun ever?
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
So of course.
Where do you?
But not on the track. My bike is actually in Calgary's. It's in Calgary. It's in Canada Sports Hall of Fame. So when you walk in and you go into the exhibits, last time I looked, it was up on the left-hand side, hanging from the rafters.
That's gotta be a pretty cool feeling.
It is. It's really cool. And they also had the tire that had exploded when I was going into just before the semifinal race, they have the tire that went wrong, that exploded at about 70 kilometers an hour. So the thing is, if your tire explodes on your bike, remember, you have one gear, no brakes, you cannot stop pedaling. What happens then when the tire explodes? Well, first off, it sounds like a shotgun. So everybody in the velodrome is looking around, who's going to crash? Who's going to crash? There's about 100 people, 100 athletes riding on the track at the same time. So you're threading the needle. I have no idea how I managed to, other than the first thing my coach said, Des Dickey, he said, if you're going to crash, relax, because you're going to bounce.
Yeah, okay.
You won't break as much.
Oh, was that accurate? When you look back at your crashes,
Oh my God,
were
yeah.
you able to relax?
Yeah, I crashed sideways. I couldn't unclip out of my mountain bike pedals in the Mill Creek Ravine, just not far from here.
Like, yeah, it would be funny to have like an average, video cam on Lorianne Muenzer when she's biking in the River Valley. Because something tells me it's not a Sunday stroll.
Well, it starts off as a Sunday. It all depends on who we're going. So if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
and I are going out for a ride, we're definitely bringing the camcorder or the
Yeah,
GoPro.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're not sprinting. Or if we are, it's
yeah.
like, hey,
Well, I'll give you
Laura,
the heads up. I'll
go-
give you the
what-
heads up.
What was it called though? When the sheepdog? Is that what it was called?
The sheepdog. Yeah, the guys go ahead and then
that'd
they
be you.
come back.
Lori,
and
yeah,
then-
you'd go ahead and then you'd come back and I'd be, I'm over here still. So that'd be good. Lori, that was fantastic. And this is all what people can expect and much more. Great insights. You're a motivational speaker. So we're going to talk a lot about, I know with Kevin and you, a lot about the mental side of sports and just in life, really. And I think it's going to be fascinating stuff. So thanks so much for joining us. So we look forward to having you on every Friday here on the Jason Gregor Show. And then every Monday morning with Kevin Carius from 7 to 9 a.m. Two-time Olympic gold medalist Lorianne Muenzer. You can call her LA. Just don't call her late for dinner or breakfast, I guess. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Matt Verderam will join us on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 and live on Oilers Nation YouTube.
There's two seasons in Alberta, winter and construction.
Great.
During these days
That's-
of
I
traffic
didn't know that.
barricades and slower
That's
commutes,
unreal.
GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities.
So had you,
They're
like,
rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's
Joins us,
infrastructure all
Lorianne.
across the city. When
And how you
see
doing?
the barricades
Yeah, how you
and
doing?
run into a
Lorianne,
traffic battle,
Lorianne.
remember, the crews
Lorianne.
are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game, bottom of the ninth with the full count. The kick, the pitch.
We'll talk about that next
It's
week.
high,
I feel
it's
like
far,
the
it
business
is
side.
gone. Walk off, home run.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. On sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit EdmontonKubota.com.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction and sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
Tonight's third star, $3 bacon cheeseburger sliders. Second star, $3 Baja fish tacos. And first star, $3 sleeves of first round house league draft. First Round presents 3-Star Happy Hour Monday to Friday from 2 to 6 with reverse happy hour times listed at firstround.ca. Mouthwatering appetizers for $3. Cold sleeves of House League Draft for $3. 3-Star Happy Hour at First Round, West Edmonton Mall and downtown. Burgers, beer, sports, and Edmonton's happiest happy hour.
Canadian Tire's Big Red Birthday Event is back with our lowest prices of the season. Save up to 60% on kitchen appliances, vacuums, tools, and electronics. Value that adds up at Canadian Tire. Ends September 13th. Visit CanadianTire.ca or the flyer for details.
Hi, I'm Colin from CanTorque. The call letters and studio have changed, yet Edmonton's passion for sports endures. CanTorque proudly continues our partnership with Jason Gregor and is eager to get back in the game on Sports 1440.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We return Positive Friday on Sports 1440. Jason Gregor alongside Connor Halley, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And man, I'm just fired up. Like Lorianne Muenzer, when you listen to her, it's like she's just got energy. And those stories, man, she's going to be an awesome addition to the station Monday mornings with Carries and then Friday with us. So very much looking forward to that. And just what a path to becoming a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. 22 years of age. You know what? I got to get better. I got to do something. And away she went and followed her dream, and it worked out. That's fantastic. So the other great thing is Laura's a very successful businesswoman. And so we'll be talking sports, but we'll be interjecting a lot of like the business side of sports when we have Lori on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. Always looking forward to have this guy on the show as we get to the fantasy report brought to you by Next Gen Transportation, heavy haul transport provider, 100% locally owned and operated. And tell you, it's not a fantasy. Their customer service is legit and it is great. NextGenTransportation.com. As once again, Matt Verderam joins us from Sports Illustrated, the NFL writer. And Matt, game one is done. And I posed this question earlier, so I want to ask it to you. Can you recall a time where a team has had that collective of a poor performance from their entire receiving corps?
Not for a decent team. I literally just looked this up while you were in commercial break. The Chiefs had 65 offensive snaps last night.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney played 16 of them. Like, that's almost impossible to make that big of a negative impact. 16? It felt like he made a mistake every third play they had. It was I was there. I was up in the press box last night, and that game, like, in one way, I'm oddly almost more bullish on the Chiefs in the sense like they played what I think is a pretty good Lions team and basically played like they had money on the Lions and still almost won. Like it was, without Chris Jones, without Charles Menahu, without Travis Kelce, drops are, everybody's got a different perspective on what's a drop and a missed throw, whatever. I thought they had like 9 drops in that game, which is almost impossible, including one that ended up being a pick 6. And they lost by a point. So it was an interesting night. Like I think the Chiefs will be completely fine and they'll bounce back and all that. But it was a disaster for Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore in particular.
Wow, Sky Moore. I made the put me in for idiot GM of the week in fantasy football. I was like, you know what? I'm going with Moore. So I put him as my flex thinking he would do something. And he did absolutely nothing. What did you see that he wasn't doing in that game that you would think he would be better at?
I feel like at times with him, his problem is he just doesn't separate particularly well. It's not that he doesn't have the ability to, but like when you watch them last night, and Nate Tice, the Athletic, did a really good job breaking this down on Twitter. Give him a shout out, or on X, I should say. They don't seem like they have any rhythm. And part of that maybe is Toney was out all preseason and all training camp with a knee injury, and Moore is going from a small role to a starting role. But I watched, and I noticed it in the press box last night. There were a lot of routes where they were running into each other. There were miscommunications, and not just those two guys, but just in general. But with Sky Moore, he's not the athlete Kadarius Toney is. He's not the athlete Rashee Rice is, who I actually thought played really well for them last night. He's the one receiver who was younger who actually showed up. But with Moore, he's got to be precise. His superpower is his route running. He's a really good route runner. But last night, he ruined what could have been one of the great Mahomes highlights of all time on 4th and 25. Yeah. I mean, that throw was unbelievable. It hit him right in his hands. He drops the ball. And that's something where if you're Sky Moore, the Chiefs don't have great receivers, as we saw last night, but they do have a deep room of guys they're willing to go to. Like, if you're Sky Moore, you better show that you can play soon, because otherwise Rashee Rice is going to get those snaps, and Justin Ross is going to get those snaps, and Richie James is going to get those snaps. So it was a struggle. I mean, you had I believe he was targeted 4 times, and he had 3 drops and no receptions.
Yeah, it was not good. Now, what about on the other side for the Detroit Lions? A big win for them, huge win. You look at their offensive line, they came in highly touted. It's the first time all starting 5 were together due to injuries in the past. And I really saw it on the Montgomery touchdown run. Like, that was just impeccable blocking by them. Pretty easy run. But when you look at Montgomery and you look in Diggs, is that what you expect? Or do you think as the season goes along, they're going to Diggs, especially get him in an open field? Because the minute they got him in open field, we saw him make some plays, especially late in the game.
So there was one play that Jahmyr Gibbs broke out. I know you meant. Gibbs broke outside and actually juked so hard he juked himself. Otherwise, he would have walked in the end zone for a touchdown. And it didn't matter. They scored the next play anyway. But look, Gibbs, 6 carries, 42 yards, one of which was a 18-yard run. So other than that, bottled up a little bit. But I thought he played well. I mean, the explosiveness is clear. He can do a lot of different things. He'll move them all over the place. I was at Allen Park, Michigan for their training camp for a day as part of my training camp tour. And their young guys are really impressive. And they are really high on all of them. Brian Branch, who had a pick 6, and Gibbs and Laporta, and even Jack Campbell had a nice pass breakup last night. So I think they're going to rely on that ground game. Last night, they tried to run the ball. They didn't have a ton of success, kind of surprisingly. I thought without Chris Jones, they could run the ball on the Chiefs. The Chiefs went heavier up front, played a lot of base. The Lions only ran for 3.5 yards per carry, but as the game went on, they ran a little bit better. I think Montgomery and Gibbs will be that 1-2 punch, and that's a top 5 offensive line in the league. That's how the Lions are going to win games, and that'll get Goff into shorter situations, 2nd and 5s and 3rd and 3s, and you can play action off that, and that's when he's really effective.
Matt Verderame joins us from Sports Illustrated, talking all things NFL and a little bit of fantasy as well. So now we get into Sunday, and there's lots of excitement, of course. Anytime any league starts up a new season, lots of fan bases. This is our year, right? In Detroit right now, their fans are like, we're going to the Super Bowl, which is great. What is your expectation for Aaron Rodgers player, Aaron Rodgers fantasy, and then guys like Breece Hall and Wilson, et cetera, for that Jets offense?
So, look, when Hall's fully back from the tornado show, I think he and Dalvin Cook will kind of be that Montgomery Gibbs. We're gonna split time, 1-2 punch, all that kind of thing. Hall was incredible last year before he got hurt. Awesome, absolutely awesome. And he was facing stack boxes every week because Zach Wilson wasn't exactly backing guys up 30 yards. So I think he will probably see more than Dalvin Cook will see, but I think that also depends on how does Cook look early. If he plays really well early, then maybe it's more of a 50-50, a true split. With Rodgers, look, there's a yin and yang to this for me. He has a lot to prove in his own mind after last year in Green Bay. He did not throw for 300 yards once last year. No. And people love to say, well, he didn't have weapons. He had some decent players in Green Bay. He had Lazard, he had Watson. He's got a great running game with the Packers. And LaFleur is an excellent offensive coach. This Jets team has Wilson, who is better than anybody the Packers were trotting out last year. But other than that, it's also Lazard. It's also Cobb. I've watched McCole Hardman as someone who covered the Chiefs before I went national. Every other game he's ever played. McCole Hardman's going to have 2 games, he has 125 yards, and 15 games where he has 20. Okay? That's just how he is. Yeah. And that's why he's a useful player, but that's what he is. The Jets, my biggest concern is, can they block? Can they block anybody? That's always the thing. Whenever we see camp reports, people are like, this offense looks amazing. And then the season starts and you're like, all right. And there actually is contact now when the season starts and you can hit the quarterback. That's a problem. Yeah. I think Buffalo will win the game week 1. And I will, in full disclosure, admit I am from New York and did not grow up a Jets fan. Don't dislike him, just didn't grow up a fan of the team. There's a part of me that just lives for the chaos of it. Like if they lose week 1, the radio lines will be on fire Tuesday morning. Like especially if it's like Rodgers throws 2 picks or something.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it'll be unbelievable. It'll be absolute theater in New York. So that could be fun if the Jets do struggle out of the gate early.
There are a few other teams, like Brock Purdy. He was a Cinderella story last year, no question. The 49ers, they get rid of Trey Lance already, who they gave up a boatload to get. What's your expectations of Purdy? I know Patrick Peterson's already calling that he's going to get an interception in the game. I love the trash talk, by the way. But what's your expectation? Because there's a lot of people that are high in the 49ers. Are you that high?
I'm not. I actually think Seattle's going to win that division. So I like the Niners as a playoff team. My thing is this. You always hear people say, and it's not always just about the 49ers, although the 49ers seem to be the poster child for this currently. They got a great roster, just that quarterback, and you don't know, but they got the best roster. That's like saying I have the nicest car in the parking lot, but it doesn't have an engine. I mean, that's great, but the car doesn't run. Like, I like Purdy as a prospect. He played well above his draft position last year. Nobody would argue that. My question with Purdy is there another level to him, or is he pretty much just a guy? And that's what he is going for. Because I worry with the Niners. McCaffrey's unbelievable, but he's got injury history. Trent Williams is amazing Hall of Famer, but he's older. George Kittle, great player, already dealing with a groin issue. Deebo Samuel, great player, hurt a lot. Nick Bosa just got paid more than any defensive player in NFL history. He has an injury history. Eric Armstead, he's gotten hurt. Like, that's my concern with the Niners. And if some of those guys are missing time, like, can Purdy keep them rolling? Or is it one of these things where if a couple of those guys are taken out of the equation, now it's like, hey, Brock, you're going to have to really carry the show here for a month. Can he do it? I don't know. I think they're a playoff team, could certainly win the West. I'm fascinated by the game against Pittsburgh. I think that is going to – Pittsburgh, I think, is a good team. I think that's going to be like a 1990s style, 17-14. It's a battle to score points. I think it's going to be a very good football game.
Matt Verderam joins us from Sports Illustrated here on Sports 1440. Matt, I have to ask you about my producer Connor's Chargers. They're taking on the Miami Dolphins. There's a lot of hype around the Dolphins, offensively and defensively. The Chargers, they got one of the best quarterbacks in the league, no question. What do you make of the Chargers this week and then maybe all season? What's your expectation?
Well, I think they're going to win this week. I'm picking them to win. I think Ramsey being out for the Dolphins is just an enormous deal because I like the Dolphins a lot. I actually picked them to win the AFC East, although the Ramsey thing scares the hell out of me. The concern I have is, like, can you cover anybody? Because Xavier Howard made the Pro Bowl last year, but he did not play at a Pro Bowl level. I mean, if you watch the games, he struggled quite a bit. And so, Javon Holland's really good safety, but he's not going one-on-one with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Like, they need to be able to cover. And when you have to just sit in a zone against good quarterbacks, they slice you up typically. So that's my concern. I think the Chargers win the game. I wouldn't be shocked if Miami won. I think it's a high-scoring game. Overall, I think the Chargers are fighting for a playoff spot. I like the talent. Here's the problem, two-prong quickly with them. One is injuries. Every year, there's just injuries all over the roster. Every year, and every year we go into it and say, well, they don't get hurt this year. But guys who get hurt typically get hurt. But that's usually, I mean, if you're injured every year, there's a reason, and getting older does not help that. Number two, I just cannot pick them to win that division when Brendan Staley's coaching that team. So I just, at some point, there are going to be 2 or 3 games this year where we're sitting here on Monday morning going, how did they lose that? Like, what happened? How did they lose that? And despite what the Chiefs did on Thursday night, with the Chiefs, like when the lights get real bright and they got to win, like they typically win. They've won 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. When the lights get really bright for the Chargers, it's like a blinding freight train coming down the track. So I think they are going to compete for a playoff spot in the AFC West. I do think it'll be more of in a wild card capacity, though.
And lastly, we got a few texts coming in on quarterbacks for week 1. Joe Burrow didn't play, excuse me, but half the quarterbacks didn't play. So I don't know if that matters very much. What do you make of Burrow in week 1 going up against Cleveland? And then the Jacksonville offense. Is this the breakout for Trevor Lawrence? Is Trevor Lawrence, like, where would you rank him amongst quarterbacks in fantasy?
I mean, certainly, I think Lawrence is on that tier right behind Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Hurts. I mean, Lawrence, he to me is a dark horse MVP candidate. And I think, like, here's the other part of this. Jacksonville's defense is, I don't believe, good. So they're going to throw the ball a lot because they're going to get in these shootouts. Now, week 1, he may not get no shootout because I don't think the Colts are going to exactly be putting up 35 a game. Okay. However, tell you one thing, Jacksonville plays Kansas City week 2. That game, especially after what Kansas City just did, Jacksonville might need to score 40 because if the Chiefs have Kelsey back, that's going to be interesting. I think Lawrence is fantastic. I think he's a top, 6-7 quarterback in the league. And then with Burrow, you know what? He has always struggled against Cleveland for some reason. Yes. That's been a weird, like sometimes, styles make fights. The Browns just have had his number. I am picking the Bengals to win the game, though. Watson was so bad last year. And I get it. I understand the whole Russ thing, and I get it. I got to see the Browns kind of do it a little bit. Show me that you can execute and you can play well. I think the Browns will be game. Again, and it's week 1. Like, anything's possible in week 1. But I like Cincinnati to go in there and win that game.
Matt, always great to have you on, man. We appreciate it. Great stuff. We'll keep reading at Sports Illustrated, and we'll talk to you again soon. Have a great weekend. Enjoy week 1.
You too, Jason. Take care.
That is Matt Verneram joining us from Sports Illustrated. Great breakdowns all the time. I know Cons is always raving about Matty's stuff that he reads. It's fantastic. If you haven't, I would highly recommend checking it out. That's Fantasy Report brought to you by Next Gen Transportation. When we return, we're going to speed things up a little bit on the Positive Friday edition of the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Are you ready to light up your game like Edmonton lights up the ice?
Then choose Ewell.
Electrical Wholesalers Edmonton Limited offers lightning fast service. Just like your favorite forward, they deliver your electrical supplies in record time.
Plus winning quality. They only stock the best.
And don't forget about their all-star support. When it comes to customer service, they're the playmakers.
So don't sit in the dark. Make the power play and visit Ewell today. Online at ewel.ca, where excellence in electrical meets the heart of hockey.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
Mr. Rooter hits the link.
So I tell the guy, it's leaking because you have a hole-in-one.
Hey, Mr. Rooter, you have a better chance of hitting the green with a crescent wrench, you bum.
Oh, boy. It's my rival, Mr. Plunger.
You swing a club like you plumb. Lousy.
Lousy, eh? Hey, Mr. Plunger, there's a clog down there that even you could fix.
For a plumber you can trust, call Mr. Rooter.
Hey, Edmonton. This is Kevin Brown from your Edmonton Elks. The kids are taking over the Labor Day rematch. Saturday, September 9th is Family Day against the Calgary Stampeders. Edmonton Elks football, our team, our city.
You're a smart person, but even smart people make dumb decisions when it comes to divorce. Make a freedom decision with freedomlaw.ca.
The Verhage Law Team at freedomlaw.ca guides you to an effective strategy for your situation, including alternative dispute resolutions like mediation. There's a lot at stake. Getting the right advice right away is a smart decision. With initial consultations from just $375.
Make the smart decision. freedomlaw.ca.
At jackpotcity.net, you can do amazing things with just one casino chip.
Discover a world of incredible casino games with over 500 high-quality online slot games, including the world-renowned progressive jackpot slot Mega Moolah. Play for free at jackpotcity.net and get treated as a VIP 24/7. So visit jackpotcity.net
Can you
today on
recall-
your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City, a whole world of casino games. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
For the first time ever in Edmonton, the Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, downtown Edmonton City Center, Friday, September 15th through Sunday the 17th. Save up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Plus, you could win your purchase. Up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Starting September 15th, Edmonton City Center, Friday 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday 9 till 4. Details on Facebook at Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, Edmonton.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on. Beautiful day outside. Man, this show is just rolling by. We're almost like 2 hours in. Loving it. It's quick. It's fast. It's fantastic. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. The text line is humming, 833-401-1440. We'll get through a lot of those in our Jiffy Lube inbox, but it's time to speed things up in the CanTorque Racing Report. CanTorque's been a long-time sponsor of our show. We're very happy to have them back on once again. New location, same strategy, and we welcome in Colin Livingston once again. CL, how you doing, my man?
Man, I didn't think we were going to be doing this ever again with the abrupt ending at the other place. This is awesome.
No, it's great. We're happy to have you, and you know what? We took a little bit of time, but we figured it out, and everything's. I'll say this right now: the Sports 1440 CanTorque relationship is a lot better than the Red Bull Perez Helmut Marko relationship in F1. Like, they're having a record-breaking year by Max Verstappen, the greatest season we've ever seen for an F1 racer. He's won 10 in a row, and he might go undefeated. Crazy enough. And Perez is second, but basically he's inconsistent according to Marko. He made a real idiotic kind of racial comment saying South Americans, they don't focus as much. And then, of course, today he was apologizing for that idiotic remark. But are you surprised? Like, I watched Checo race. Like, do you think it's that glaringly obvious? And is there anybody that would be an obvious upgrade?
Well, obviously they've got Danny Ricciardo sitting in the wings. Now, Danny's got a broken wrist from an accident at Zandvoort a couple weeks ago. He's the obvious choice if they need to move somebody into that seat. But what I don't think a lot of people really look past the driver. There's a lot of stuff going on in Perez's team that doesn't happen in Max's team, where, use Montreal as an example. And I don't expect you to know this like kind of fresh of mind, but when they were getting ready to qualify, and as they were going through the various qualifying sessions in Montreal, it looked like rain was going to happen.
Yes.
So Perez is saying, guys, get me out here. Let me get what they call banker's laps. Let me get the lap in now before the rain comes. And they're like, no, we're going to wait. And then you can go rip on the intermediates. It's like, why would you do that? Because the intermediates are going to be like 10, 12, 13, 15, 20 seconds slower. You do a lousy lap on slicks, it's still going to be better than what you can possibly do. So his team's making some really questionable decisions, but he's the one that's shouldering the blame.
Yeah.
Now, got to be mindful that we're not on Thursday. This is Positive Friday. So it's,
no, it's all good.
I'm a little reluctant to go after, one of my least favorite people in all the sports, Helmut Marko, because he says the most ludicrous things. And then, there's the move nowadays. Well, as long as you apologize afterwards or you clarify it. This was the same guy that also said Max Verstappen is so good that you could put him in the Alpha Tauri or you could put him in the Haas and he would still put that car on pole. Like, what a great way to show you don't know anything about, driving or racing. Like, there's no way you put Verstappen in the Alpha Tauri that right now, like, Ricardo and Yuki Tsunoda, or and now the kid's name is Liam Lawson, is filling in. Is it really because those guys are such bad drivers that car isn't qualifying up front? No, it's because the car is just not that good. These guys are all great drivers. The difference between the great guys at the back and the great guys like Max and Lewis up front is just the littlest thing. You know what, Helmet? Put Max in that car.
I'd love to see it.
Why not? You put one of those drivers in the Red Bull, they're going to be getting it up front. And then all of a sudden, Max is doing it in a car that you guys spend pennies on compared to the other one. It'd be the greatest move in racing history.
Now, I want to ask you about what's going on outside, and it does involve F1. You go back to the 2008 championship, and you have Massa now who's suing for because he claims that PK Jr. deliberately crashed into him, and that cost him the title, which would have cost him millions of dollars after the fact. So he's not even necessarily going after the title. He's going after the lost revenue. Correct. Now, I'll be honest. I don't is this something that's ever happened before?
The closest thing was a couple of years ago when Lewis lost the championship to Max in Abu Dhabi with the questionable caution and that sequence of events. And to be clear, that was not an act of deliberate crashing. That was, we don't need to chuck
there was
them
the
under
rules.
the bus,
we can debate on for the rules.
And how they let teams pit and all the rest of it. This is, again, it's going back 15 years. Nelson Piquet was driving for Renault. His partner was Fernando Alonso. To be clear, Piquet didn't crash into Massa, but he deliberately crashed to cause a caution so that Alonso could maximize his pit strategy. Mm-hmm. That's not been proven. First of all, it's widely speculated, and it could have very well happened. Do
you think he did it on purpose?
100%. I have no doubt in the world. But that doesn't mean that you freeze time at that moment and say, okay, well, if that hadn't happened, then none of the other events that happened afterwards. You can't overlook the fact that Massa's crew, his pit crew, when they came into pit later on in that race in Singapore, they botched his pit stop and he ended up, at the back anyway. Then there were something like 3 races left in that calendar year. Well, if he had walked away with the title at that point, or like the championship lead, does he drive the exact same way, being the leader as he would have, coming from behind? Do the other teams around
it changes
rally?
Everything.
You don't know. So you can't, he initially started talking about having the legal challenge to have the championship given back to him. I think they figured out that that's not going to happen, but now he's suing Formula One and the management to say, listen, you guys knew you didn't act on this. I should have been the champion, and the end result would have been, tens of millions of dollars per year in bonus pay from the team and endorsements. I want that money now, which is, I think he's going to fall on his face.
Okay. Colin Livingston joins us in the CanTorque Racing Report. It's kind of fascinating what's going on in IndyCar. Paolo's having an unbelievable year.
Crazy.
But right now it's all overshadowed. He says he's leaving. Now they're like, no. He gets sued by Ganassi. So now he's going back. It's basically, to put it to people who don't follow IndyCar, it's like you would come home and you tell your girlfriend or your boyfriend, and you're like, guess what? I'm out. See you later. I'm leaving. Right. I'm moving in with Sarah or Paul across the street. Right. So you go to Sarah and Paul's house, then you come back to get your bed and like, no, sorry, this isn't allowed. And then you got to be, well, I guess I'm moving back in here. Like, how uncomfortable is this going to be? And what do you think comes of this? And how did they botch it? How would he not know what's in the contract?
This is probably going to get a little bit messier before it gets sorted out. The deal is that McLaren thought that they were able to sign him using a loophole that allowed him to leave if he got an offer from a Formula One group, which McLaren has a Formula One entity as well as an IndyCar entity. That was kind of how they tried to structure it. Then, as he had put pen to paper with McLaren, Ganassi said, hold on a second. We have you under contract for 2 more years, and that contract is ironclad. They went to court. They had their contract upheld. He had to drive for Ganassi, which obviously worked out pretty well because now he's the champion with 1 race to go. So they've had a great year. McLaren said, okay, well, now you're coming to us next year because that's what the other contract said, which is 2024.
Yeah.
And Palou is saying, no, I'm not going to you guys. I'm staying right where I'm at. So there's going to be some kind of legal challenge because McLaren did put money into him and they've hired him as their F1 reserve driver. They've done a lot of F1 testing. And they were counting on him to get into the car, which he's saying he's not. So they're probably going to go back, try and get a chunk of cash from him. McLaren announced today that they've signed David Malukas, who was with Dale Coyne Racing. So they've kind of they've understood that he's not going to be there, but they're going to try and pick his pocket a little bit.
Now let's get into the NASCAR Pinty Series in Canada. Of course, the final race is coming up in London. Your team with Tagliani, you guys just won in Toronto. Yeah, you had a really good Western swing. Lots of top 5 finishes. I think a second, a fourth, and a fifth, if I'm not mistaken. So you come into the final race. You can't win the points, but you can finish as high as third. But then also, depending on how the weekend goes, you can drop down. So there's still lots on the line. Obviously, how do you approach as a team when you go in? You know you can't win, but you obviously, there's still a lot to be won by finishing third.
Well, we can still win the race. And, our team's done a great job this year of giving us good cars. I can go through every single race and kind of point out what happened. We've just had some bad luck. And once in a while, we're making bad decisions at the wrong times. And that's kind of what happens. With our Western swing, we finished 5th in Edmonton, 4th in Saskatoon, 2nd in Saskatoon, which is fantastic until you figure out our teammate went 2nd, 1st. So, and that just really opened up the gap. Really all we can do is maintain our position. LP Dumoulin's been coming on pretty strong. He's had a really good run lately. Delaware is a track that we've had mixed results. Alex has run well there up until about 2016. It went off the calendar. It came, and since it's come back, we've just had the worst luck. The Delaware weekend as the championship leader, and I think we ended up finishing 4th overall because we had terrible cars, bad luck, accidents. Last year was we were the victim of somebody else's nonsense. Won't even mention them. But, it was one of the worst hits we've taken, Alex has taken in the car, and, me as a spotter, it's my job to keep the guys safe. So I'll never forget the feeling of just not knowing if Alex was okay, because once they took him out of the car, I don't have radio contact. He didn't talk to us after it happened. So I was texting guys in the pits to find out, I'm trying to keep Bronte, his wife, informed, like, listen, we're still working on it. I think Delaware owes us at least one good finish here because we've run well. We've done okay. Terry and the rest of our guys, I know the car is going to be ready to go. Alex is focused, and then it's going to be time to kick some ass.
And lastly, I know the karting series is over locally, but you guys average 26 karts on the track per races here. I think that's the most, is it not?
We're by far and away the largest group of DD2 drivers in the world. We race in Warburg at EDKRA, Edmonton District Kart Racing Association. This weekend is the final club race. So there's going to be, there'll be over 100 entries in 8 different classes or so. But yeah, for a standalone Wednesday night single class organization, we're by far and away the biggest in the world.
I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but I have to ask, I was looking at the stats. 6 wins for you this year, including a few of the big ones in Strathmore and EDKRA, their championship one as well. What went right for you this year?
Had a good cart, raced pretty well. I had decent strategy. Knowing, we basically, we run a set of tires for 2 races. So I was pretty fortunate that when I was running new tires, most of my competitors were running used. They would run new on nights that I wouldn't be there, and then it would flip around. My average finish was really decent this year, but I just didn't do enough races, and I had trouble in some races. The first 2 races, brand new kart, it was a mess. I didn't have it really set up properly and didn't have any time to test. There were nights where we'd go out and run, but then it was going to rain, and I don't want to run in the rain, not because of the rain part of it, but if you're running competitively and it gets really wet, you spend hours disassembling your
Oh,
cart,
God, I can
replacing
imagine.
shift cables, to make sure that it's going to be functional. No excuses. Kudos Damon Shellamy in our category. He's back on the top step. He won the championship in our group, and without question earned it. Jared Freeston, he wins again, even though he wasn't really running for a championship. His focus this year was trying to get the grand finals ticket. But yeah, we get one more weekend of fun. So I'm basically leaving here. I need to get prepared. I haven't bought groceries. I don't have any food for my camper out of the track. But once I'm done, get cleaned up, pack some clothes, get a little bit to eat over the weekend, and head out to the track and start playing with my cart.
Well, have a good weekend, and we look forward to having the CanTorque Race Report every Thursday. And by the way, thanks for filling in and golfing in the Special Olympics tournament yesterday, sponsored by Volvo. It's a fantastic event. Kevin said he had a great time. And
awesome time.
And you always feel better about yourself when you leave that tournament. There's no question.
100%. Well, and having a Special Olympian family member there with Larry was
Larry's a
great.
beauty, man. I see Larry walking in St. Albert all the time. He's such a classic. He controls the streets when he's walking around. It's so awesome.
He had 2 gears yesterday, talking about his Special Olympics experience and eating.
Oh, well, there you go. He loves it. It's good. Well, he's a big man. He's got to eat a lot.
Got to feed the machine.
He's like, what is he, 6'4"?
Something like that.
Yeah, he's a big dude. All right. Thanks, Colin. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks.
It's Colin Livingston in the Racing Report, brought to you by CanTorque. Hey, guess what? They got Strutty's favorite, the new high-powered nut runners. Check them out right now at CanTorque, one word, .com. We'll take a quick sports update brought to you by Michener Allen Auctioneering. Their next public timed automotive RV auction is now open right now for bidding. Go to info at maaauctions.com.
How exciting is it to have Sports Talk Radio back in Edmonton?
Tie game bottom of the ninth with a full count. The kick, the pitch. It's high. It's far. It is gone. Walk-off home run.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that. Edmonton Kubota is excited to welcome back Sports Talk Radio Sports 1440. We'll be dialed in for every minute. Get it done and then some at Edmonton Kubota. All compact BX tractors on sale with 0% financing for 84 months. Stop by on 128th Ave or visit edmontonkubota.com.
Sports betting is now live at playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at playalberta.ca.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Building or renovating, you want to work with someone who sees and understands your vision. BIE Engineering is a family-owned, experienced structural engineering consulting firm serving commercial and residential clients in Edmonton and surrounding area. Homeowner or large company, they'll work with you to help see your ideas through. BIE Engineering can help prevent problems, deliver solutions, and minimize your risk. BIE Engineering. Request a quote for your project today. Visit bieeng.com.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton. McCafe now has cold brew beverages and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
Hey, Alberta drivers, new rules are in place to protect roadside workers. Now, when you see first responders, tow trucks, or highway maintenance vehicles with flashing lights on the side of the road, you must move over if it's safe to do so. If you can't move over, slow down to at least 60 kilometers an hour. Help protect Alberta's roadside workers. It's the law. Learn more at alberta.ca/roadworkersafety. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Universal Rewind is the go-to electric motor sales and service company for Western Canada's industrial sector. From aggregate to manufacturing and food processing to oil and gas and agriculture, they keep your operation running like a well-oiled machine, offering a lineup of trusted brands of new motors and expert repair services to maintain your operation at peak efficiency. Family owned and operated since 1975. Check out their new logo and website at universalrewind.com. Choose experience, expertise, and quality. Choose Universal Rewind.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Sports radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We are back on a positive Friday on Sports 1440, week 1. We made it through. And you know what? It's getting better all the time. This is the first show that we have had no camera issues. Turns out there was like some sort of setting, because the reason the camera kept shutting off is because it didn't know it was on continual mode. And so it would basically go into sleep mode. And I guess there's something that I don't set up the cameras. Trust me. Anybody knows me. I'm not the tech guy on the show at all. But our tech guru came in yesterday. And then Yaremchuk and Connor and them figured out the rest. And so here we are. It only took us a few days to figure it out, but we did. And that's all that matters. Better late than never. And so now Connor and Declan, because I wish I would have had a camera on Connor and Declan as they were running all of that stuff during it. They probably lost a few pounds. And thankfully, Connor's mom, by the way, she made a massive bag of homemade chocolate chip cookies that have been in the studio now for a few days. We put them in the fridge overnight. Like, there's so many of them. Like, they are unreal. So, Mrs. Halley, you're a saint. You're a gem. So obviously you've done pretty well. You've raised a pretty good son. So, but your baking takes it to a whole new level. So thanks very much. Cons, I'm amazed that you're not a little bit more chunky with those type of cookies available all the time.
Yeah, that's why I brought them here, so I can distribute them amongst the people here in the office. Get rid of them. Yeah, get used to that, Gregor. That's going to be kind of a weekly thing.
Buddy, I love a bake. I love a good baker, man. I love it. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Try it out. They got all these new boost games that you can play. It is unbelievable. Fun little prop bets inside the game. And they're small ones, like $10, $5. So it allows you to stay within your limit. Check it out at PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, the first weekend of NFL will have a lot of props. We're going to get to some of our picks a little bit later on in the 5 o'clock hour today. And now we get to the oil report, brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton. You can finance a new or demo or certified pre-owned vehicle as low as 1.49% at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, Volvo of Edmonton, who's been a longtime partner of our show, Mike Norris and Jordy Capina down at Volvo. It's unbelievable service. It's not only great vehicles, but the service you get, top notch. So check it out. And we welcome in, he's making his, it's not his debut. I think he's been on the show once or twice. in the past. You won't see him on the broadcast because he's a man about town. He doesn't like to show his face very often. Right? It's not disfigured. He just doesn't like to show it. He's very shy. He's known as Wanye Gretz, one of the OG founders of Oilers Nation. Huge Oilers fan, and who really started out the site. Like, we can get into success stories of local businesses, and his might be right at the top of the list. Basically, his fandom and his anger at Ryan Smith being traded led into a very successful website chain. It's kind of funny, Wanye. It's kind of funny when you think about it.
You got to put your rage into something positive.
It's Positive Friday. That works.
I'm positive it's Friday. Can I be on the show?
Yeah, you can be on the show.
I was just across the street at Simon's getting jeans and thought I'd pop over for a couple hours, see how this ends up.
Well, I noticed you walked in, so you don't shop in the same super tight category as Struddy does.
Oh, why? He's a Simon's guy?
Well, no, he's just super tight jeans guy.
Oh,
he's
I
kind of
see.
like Kramer. He likes to, he would step into the studio, but not be. He'd have to stand up to do the show.
I'm actually early for a dinner at Bubba Gum Shrimp up the road, so I just thought I'd come in here for.
It's a true story. I've never eaten at Bubba Gum Shrimp, even though it's a chain in one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's amazing that it's still around in 2023. Like, congratulations to them. Like, how many other movies from the 90s still have themed restaurants going from it? There's a bunch of them too.
Have you ever eaten at Bubba Gum Shrimp?
I have not.
Me neither. Now, Declan was telling us during the break that he has, and every time he's eaten there, he loves it. So,
For real?
And I love shrimp. So anybody else, text us on the text line, 833-401-1440, or chime in on the YouTube chat for Oilers Nation. Let us know your Bubba Gum Shrimp experience. I'm just curious on a Positive Friday. I'm very curious. It's right next door to us in studio. So at some point, I'm going to have to try it.
You have to try it.
Yeah.
The name of science.
How can I not? Exactly. Name is science.
Exactly.
I would agree. So let's take us back, because Oilers Nation has become it's the biggest fan site in Edmonton for sports fans. That they love it there. And then, you guys grew that out into Flames Nation and Canucks and Toronto, and then hockeyfights.com and Daily Faceoff and everything. But because I always like to tell people, hey, if you want to start a business, talk to people who had one and it was successful. And we've always kind of joked, well, maybe more me joking than you, but like Blue Chicago, for anybody who used to drive down.
Yeah, I'm not joking about no Blue Chicago. That was a painful memory.
On 142nd Street at 104th. So that was like your first business venture. And
no, I was like my fourth business venture.
Well,
I'd already ruined things many times by that point.
But that was your first real failed business venture?
Yeah.
Okay. So
why, you count a place closing failing?
Yeah, well, I guess.
All right.
Well, it's not a fail if you learn.
It sat empty for 14 years with the sign still on it. That was also good news.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't mind that. That was great news.
Yeah, every time you drove by it, I'm sure you had a smile on your face.
I'll put it to you this way. Had something like Oilers Nation not happened for me, I would be a very different dude, like regretting the past and stuff. But you just got to keep it moving and keep doing new stuff.
And so you're a hockey fan. You went to Oiler games with your grandma, and I think your grandmother was blind.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So, you would sit in the game and you would explain to her kind of what's going on, do a little play-by-play. So you were always a diehard fan.
I would tell jokes about the Oilers to the whole stands. Like, I would yell out original Twitter, blurt out garbage about 1995 Oilers, and people would laugh. And I was like, boy, this is living.
And then now you have a tech background because you know how to code, which if there's I'm fascinated by it, but not fascinated enough to really learn it, because I don't think I could just pick it up and say, hey guys, let's sit down and have a 10-minute coding explanation and I'll figure it out. I'm sure it's, I don't want to, I could take a computer course. I'm not going to say I'm pre-code, whereas Struddy would say he's pre-code if he took one computer test. Like, hey, I turned my computer on. I'm pre-code. But how do you become a coder?
Well, so most coders will have a couple languages that they work in, and you're invariably self-trained, right? Or you work as part of a team, and that's how I do. So I understand coding, but I'm not actually writing code. But I work as part of a team, and we architect things and review each other's work, and that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you started Oilers Nation, originally the site was Bring Back Smitty, correct?
Yeah, bringsmittyhome.com.
Oh, bringsmittyhome.com.
Bring him home, and he did come home, so it worked.
Okay, yeah, that's true. It did. But when did you change the name, and why did you change from that to Oilers Nation?
Well, we kind of thought about making an Oilers website. We just thought it would be fun, right? And as a trial balloon, we did the Smitty site to see if we could get a site on the internet. Would people read it? We didn't know anything about anything. It was 2007, and we thought, what can we do that wouldn't really feel like a job? And anything Oilers related, anything hockey related, even all these years later, it still doesn't feel like a job for 1 second of the day for us.
Wanye Gretz joins us from Oilers Nation. You run a lot of the social media accounts. They're actually pretty witty. I'll give you credit for that. There's lots of funny jokes. You've created lots of things that Oiler fans like. You seem to know what Oiler fans relate to. I think is probably the biggest way I can compliment, because they gravitate to a lot of the sayings, like obviously in the early days, you joked that you had a huge crush on Jordan Eberle and you kept bags of his hair, and people actually started to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, him too, I think. He was a little bit weirded out by it all. That's a good sign. I saw you had him on opening day. Didn't even come up once. It was great.
No, he's moved on from it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you did get to meet him once, did you not?
No, but he texted me when my son was born, and that was pretty exciting. That's like meeting him. That's enough.
He sent you a text saying
He sent me a text
congratulations.
saying congratulations. I just about fainted. That was the best thing that happened that day, and my son was born that day. Right? So I'm like, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah, you must have saved that one.
Yeah.
So you can show your son Jack when he's old enough
That's
to
right.
understand what texting is. Hey, this little Jordan Eberle guy, yeah, he scored a big goal in his career, but he texts me on your birthday.
All of his gear, his baby gear, is Jordan Eberle gear that I bought during Jordan Eberle's career for when I eventually had a kid. I was like, I don't even know who this kid's going to be, but he needs to wear Jordan Eberle onesies and stuff. So throughout his entire life, he's been wearing Eberle gear with the Oilers logo on it.
So who is your Oiler of 2023 equivalent to Jordan Eberle?
Well, it was going to be Reed Schaefer until the trade happened. I'd gone all in on this guy so far as buying a Reed Schaefer jersey.
You did have a Reed Schaefer jersey.
I bought it after he got traded with his training camp 53 on it because I want to remember the good times, which never happened. That was going to be my guy. So now I'm a free agent, not for teams, but for players.
Well, don't you have to make a decision before the season starts?
I got to look at training camp. I can't just fall in love at the drop of a hat. I don't know who these people are yet.
So do you have any, well, McDavid?
Well, I know
Or
McDavid.
do you eliminate the obvious?
I don't think Connor McDavid needs anybody to pump his tire. The whole purpose of getting behind Jordan Eberle back in the day was to pick one of the big three rookies and be like, that's my guy. Bagmilk got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I got to pick Jordan Eberle, and then we went for it. Because if you're going to go through the decade of darkness, you have to find your own way to be happy. And luckily, memes came along, and we were able to harness the power of meme technology.
It's very true. It did. Honestly, I think Oilers Nation did help a lot of fans because those are some ugly years. Make no mistake about it. And there was a days where it was to vent for Oilers fans, and there was a lot of reasons to vent. Don't get me wrong. But there was also reasons, like as a sports fan, for the most part, I think 90% of sports fans who are listening right now like sports because it's going to give them enjoyment. It's going to make them happy. And so when their team wins, even if their team only wins 30 games in a year, for those 30 games, they're pretty fired up. Now, it sucks that there's 52 other games where they're not. But I think for the most part, what people like about sports is it can give them some frustration, but can also give you a lot of jubilation and camaraderie, and you feel part of something a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, the whole ethos behind Oilers Nation, right? You got to make your own fun. So if they're not going to be the best team in the league, you got to find things like, I love preseason hockey, Gregor. I love when Ty Ratty steps out of the shadows and just catches fire. And you can incorrectly conclude at this pace, he's going to have 100-point season. Like training camp heroes to me are some of my favorite times throughout the year because random people get a shot, right? Brandon Perlini got a shot, Lamborghini Perlini. These are some of the most exciting times, right? So there's always something to be positive about. There's always something to get excited about. And that's what we tried to make Oilers Nation into.
So do you have a few candidates that you think are breakout preseason gods?
It's a hard one, right? Like I want to see these PTOs. I mean, Sam Gagner coming home, that's my boy, but that's not like a new thing that Sam Gagner is our hero, right? So I don't know. Part of it sometimes is hitching your star to a new guy too, right? But I don't really see any rooks cracking the lineup this year.
There's Dylan Holloway, right? Raphael Lavoie, who and he's back skating today. He was in Washington for a few days for the rookie orientation. They have it at the NHL for rookies who they think are maybe going to break into the lineup. So they give them a little bit of a crash course in kind of what to expect in the NHL and a few do's and don'ts. Probably a lot more don'ts.
I would say the don'ts are piling up at this age.
Yeah. You definitely want to try to avoid those as much as you can.
Yep.
Lane Peterson could be a dark horse candidate. Brandon Sutter coming off of
Brandon Sutter's
COVID.
a great story. I hope he finds somewhere in the league to play.
Well, it might play in Edmonton.
Maybe.
I watched him, and again, I don't put any stock as far as how guys look, but when I watch Brandon Sutter skate around in the captain's skate, I'm watching him, I'm like, okay, he's a right shot. 6'3". He's winning faceoffs. He knows how to play positionally defensively. Like, in theory, he's exactly what Edmonton needs as a fourth line center, right? He checks off all the boxes. Veteran, experienced guy, can win faceoffs, a right shot, can kill penalties.
A Sutter.
Yeah, so he's going to try hard. Yeah, you know that. Like you know what you're going to get, right? So all of that stuff. And so he, to me, is one of the more fascinating guys to watch because he's been out of hockey for 2 years, unfortunately, not by his own accord, but due to long COVID. And if his body's recovered enough, I think he makes a lot of sense. Then there's Lane Peterson, And I got a real good scouting report from him, from my nephew, of course, who played with him in San Jose, and says, hey, this is what you expect from him. And he goes, and it was interesting because when we talked about his scouting report, he says the one thing he goes, you watch Lane Peterson where he's very good at is he's excellent spinning off of guys down low to create chances. It's not something that I would normally necessarily hear from a bottom six type of player. So, those are some of the things I watch for, but you're right. This year's Oilers team has the fewest job openings I ever recall. Because really, I see one. Like, if you want to say there's a battle for the number 6 defense spot between Broberg and Desharnais, I'll totally agree with you. But after that, there's like 4 guys battling for one spot on the fourth line.
Is my boy Sam going to make the team?
It's a good question, man. You know what? I had a little text message exchange with Sam after he signed. And he talked about his hip and he's feeling really good. Like, and when you're hurt for a long, and players know, and I don't care anybody out there, you can play weekend warrior hockey, ball hockey, baseball, basketball, you name it. I don't care what you're playing. When you're a little nicked up, right? And you can't do what you're capable of. I'm assuming when you're an elite level athlete, it's even much more noticeable and probably way more frustrating. And so he's pain-free. He feels really good. He's had a really good summer. He feels quicker. And so you come into camp with all those confident, positive thoughts about yourself. And the fact that I'm a big believer in when Sam Gagner comes to Edmonton, it's like me when I golf at Blackhawk. I'm not a very good golfer most places, but I'm at Blackhawk. I walk into the course. I'm like, I'm going to have a good day because that's where I shot my 2 best rounds of my life. So automatically, that's all I think about. Some other courses I go there and I'm just, God, I hate this place. Well, I might as well not even play, right? Now, Gagner's obviously a little bit mentally tougher than I am, but I think Sam Gagner, if there is a place where he's going to excel, I think there's as good of a chance here as anywhere else. I also think, though, he might be a guy who signs a contract that has him start in the American League because injuries are going to occur. And Edmonton, like if Edmonton was carrying a 23-man roster, Wanye, I think it would be a no-brainer. Gagner's on the team. But I think because it's a 21, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
We had him on the Real Life podcast the day after he signed, and we were exuberant. We were so happy. We had fireworks we were shooting, and it was interesting to see his mentality, right? Like he is not counting on anything having happened because he signed a PTO, and he is not like he's coming here to take a spot. And his determination to come back from his injury this summer. If he had a hip replaced for 4 years, I would milk that injury. You wouldn't see me out. I wouldn't do anything. When poor old Sam's in the pool, I saw him on Instagram all summer working on it. Like the level of effort this guy is going through just to get back in the league is commendable.
PCE says on YouTube, guys, Gagner's a lock to make the team.
That's what I'm talking about.
Question it.
Yes.
Also,
confidence.
Filthy from Calgary says, come on, Wanye. Holloway's the obvious guy to be rooting for in the preseason.
Do you think Hollywood Holloway?
Oh, why not?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I have to get caught up in the whimsy of the moment. I have to see something happen, like when Jordan Eberle scored that goal in his first game. Remember? That was an easy win.
Oh, I remember.
I remember going screaming down below at Rexall Place.
Back in the old days when like the most, at times on a Saturday night, it was the busiest bar in Edmonton.
Absolutely. And I went running down and I bought a Jordan Eberle jersey and I came back up and sat down. So between him scoring that goal and me having an Eberle jersey, 10 minutes tops. And this old guy leans over and says to me, son, did you just buy that jersey because that guy scored that goal? And I look back at him, I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen anyone do at a game. I'm like, you don't know Jordan Eberle yet.
Well, it turns out that was a good decision,
damn right it was.
Second year, he scored 34 goals, 76 points.
Still have the jersey, never washed once.
That's kind of disgusting.
Good for luck.
You've never washed it?
Never once. It's got like
beer stains.
Oh, shooter stains on the front of it. Oh, the best.
How do you not wash it?
Connor has those old socks.
No, he doesn't. He changed them.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's not a good. Why? Because we all made fun of his Hobbit feet?
No. because he was like, I need new socks. He wanted to get him. He found some finally that were better grip. Because that was the reason why I didn't like him.
I hope he kept the old socks.
Why? You know what?
Sidney Crosby uses a jock from Novice.
Yeah, but
that's why he's Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, but guess what? Now, Connor tried to get these socks re-sewn. Eventually, he didn't like it because it was uncomfortable. That's why I wanted to get, and he found some socks that had grip. Because the reason why he kept wearing those was because he felt, and hey, when you're the best skater in that world, I'm not going to question it. And he was like, I feel like my foot slips a little bit in the skate, so I need grip on the socks. And I was like, okay, it makes sense.
Hold
He
on, you
would know.
talked to Connor about his socks?
Oh, yeah, we had a
This is the
conversation about
hard-hitting
it.
journalism.
Oh.
I listened to Sport 1444, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. No, and Connor talked about it pretty openly, right? He's just like, hey, man, like, I can't find him anywhere else. And then late in the year, probably a month or so later, I noticed one day he had some new socks on. I'm like, oh, he got some new socks. He goes, yeah, they finally found some for me.
I think he got vulnerable for the first time in his life because people saw his hobbit feet and mocked him. That's what I think happened.
Nah, well, nah, I don't
He's also
think-
got that collarbone thing in his shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Remember he's got those weird
few
deals
guys
on
have
there?
that. Yeah.
Well, that's me in my Jordan Eberle jersey. It's covered in shots of sourpuss from 2015, just like how Connor wears old socks. Greatness, Gregor.
Hey, guys, didn't Connor get his socks from the trampoline park from Cat Dad? Hey, I will say this. The trampoline socks are mighty, mighty grippy, but they're a little too thick, I think, to wear in hockey skates.
What on earth are you talking about?
You've never been in a trampoline park, have you?
Not in my life.
Oh, you wait till your son's old enough. You'll go to the trampoline
and then we
park.
get special trampoline
Well,
socks?
yeah, you got to get the trampoline
You gotta
socks
get the
because
trampoline
otherwise
socks.
kids are blowing a wheel, man. They're all out there. It's like they're just what it's like literally they're trying to skate with skate guards on. It
Remember that
doesn't
show
work.
Slam Ball back in the day? Is it
Yes.
Slam Ball Park Edition? Is that what we're dealing with?
Well, it's not that aggressive.
Oh.
It's not that physical, but you know what? It's close. It's close.
Sure.
It's all depends on your child's fear factor level. Some kids are in there, man, because you can go to the certain trampolines and you can bounce off the walls, right? They're bouncing all over. They got the trampolines on the side of the wall. You can try to be Bo Jackson and run up the side and bounce off. And there's always a few malfunctions at the junctions. I've seen a few slobber knockers accidentally with kids bumping into each other midair, right? That's just part of it. Like if you don't get hurt at the trampoline park, are you really trying?
Kids today have it good. You know what we did for fun when we were little? We went to a salt mine and worked 8 hours a day, and we were glad to have the work. We didn't have all these trampoline parks and Netflix.
Hey, dude, the trampolines, so we have a trampoline for my son now, and it has like the safety net on the side, which is actually quite good because he played, and they have a basketball net now on the trampoline.
Slam ball training.
He's practicing all his dunks. He
Of
loves
course.
it. But, when you go in there and you play and you can bounce off the side, it's way better. Like I remember we used to have the trampoline, and most people out there, if you grew up, you're a kid of the 70s, the 80s, or the 90s, one of your buddies had a trampoline. At some point, you try jumping off a fence, or if you're really dumb / living on the edge like we were, you would try it off the garage roof thinking this is a good idea, right? And I've seen your buddy double jumps you, double bounces you, you're over the fence. It's happened quite a bit. Like it's much safer, but here's the thing. I don't know how many, like most of us survived, right? Like I'm sure,
Not all of us, but most of us made it.
Somebody had an
There was
accident,
little
but
Timmy.
it is like safer, yes. But like, just think about it for a moment. When you were double bounced by your friend, and the next thing you know, you're flying over the fence into the neighbor's yard. For those few half seconds,
you were living.
It was jubilation. You were living. Jason Gregor, Wanye Gretz with you on Sports 1440. Edmonton Sports Talk radio station. Text us at 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox. We'll return with the grandfather of Sports Talk radio. Another OG in the digital platform. Next on The Gregor Show.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
Come into Jiffy Lube for a Pennzoil Platinum full synthetic oil change and receive a $20 digital gift card to one of over 30 merchants, such as Starbucks or Tim Hortons. For a location near you, visit jiffylubeservice.ca. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its second season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the U14, 15, 17, and U18 age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast online on silent Island Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
How do we do it? Well, at Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we invest. Our money and time goes right back into technology and training, and it's all designed to get you back into shape. We invest in people, the people who really care, and they understand how your body works. Then they combine their experience, training, and skills to work with you to help you solve your issues, be it pain in the back, neck, arm, shoulder, heel, literally head to toe. Leading Edge Physiotherapy, always taking new patients because we keep fixing the old ones. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson. Are you one of those people out there looking for something different to heat and cool your home? Weiss Johnson is Edmonton's cold climate heat pump specialist and would love to explain to you how Trane heat pumps are a reliable, cost-effective alternative for your home's heating and cooling needs. Order your Trane heat pump now and take advantage of the generous government rebates that are available. Trane, it's hard to stop a Trane. Call the most experienced HVAC company around with over 45 years in business. Visit wjcools.com today.
There's nothing like having a little skin in the game to make things interesting. But when a little skin becomes more than you can afford to lose, it's time to take a break from sports
Jason
betting.
Gregor.
Set a budget and stick to it. If you gamble, use your game sense.
How low can they go? At Buy Low Foods, they can go way low. Stock up and save big when you buy more of select products. Only at Buy Low Foods.
Sipping gin and juice, just trying to stay cool. And I'm sweating buckets bigger than a swimming pool. Cruise to Heritage Mall to enjoy some AC. Then my shorty hears the homies from Legacy. I say, listen, yo, where we gonna get the dough to pay Legacy from the radio? She says, Legacy Heating's got a deal that's the bomb with no interest or payments flipping all year long. No money, no problems, that's the life that I choose. Chillaxing with thousands of BTU.
Doing whatever the heck that was. That's how you build a legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
That's right. Our title sponsor. Always happy to have Play Alberta on board. We love it. Try it out. Alberta's only regulated online gambling website. Stay within your limits. Jason Gregor, Wanye Gretz with you. We are coming to you live from the eWell studio, sponsored by your local electrical distributor. They always like to say, stay tuned for an electrifying show that'll light up your life.
This place is a palace, Gregor. This place is a palace. Going around the inside there, I could not believe how nice the backstage area is here.
You know what? What I noticed about that, there's a big pool table.
There's a bar. There's a full bar. Like we're hanging out at Nashville's. And you got a pool table, I assume, from Nashville's.
Yeah, we are... Nashville.
It's Nashville's in here.
Oh, it is.
Kids don't know.
It is pretty big, but
do you remember Palladium?
Yes, of course.
This is Palladium. Oh, that's what this is.
No, wasn't Palladium downstairs?
It was 2 levels.
You're right. It was 2 levels of fun.
There you go.
Interesting.
So you're basically broadcasting from Palladium.
My sister used to work at Palladium back in the day. It's come full circle. Now I work at Palladium.
Oh, there
I
you
don't
go.
get paid to be here.
That was
That
fantastic.
laugh, Gregor.
Wanye Gretz joins us as now we are going to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. The tasty breakfast trio. Something Wanye has every day.
Damn right it is.
Sausage or chicken McMuffin, sausage or chicken McGriddles with hash browns and a small premium roast coffee for only a 5-spot right now at McDonald's. And we welcome in. Now, these two can't be in the same room. The OGs, you know what? Like there's a lot of competition on the online world. So they rarely like to be seen in the same room. As we welcome in Lowetide. LT, how you doing?
I'm very well. It's a beautiful day. I don't know how many more of these we have, but this is gorgeous today.
Oh, it's outstanding. Now, Al, you've been blogging for quite some time. All right.
Yes.
What were your initial thoughts of when a young Wanye Gretz appeared on the blogging scene?
Well, I never view people as competition because I felt like the more the merrier, and the more places to stop along the way that any reader had would be good for me and good for everybody. And I think that's still true. It's flooded now, but I still think people go to lots of different sites. So I also, I learned early on that good thought starters are reading well-written articles by other people. So I think I probably welcomed them.
I remember you being very nice. It was an honor then and an honor now to talk to you, LT.
Well, see, I mean, either I'm a great liar or I genuinely like you. One of the two.
I feel as though I've made it. I can see Bubba Gum Shrimp from where I'm sitting at the mall. I can see Gregor from where I'm sitting. It is all going very well. It's good to see it.
I love it. But and the other thing is that I think that, and this is very true with Wanye and others that I have read over the years, is that you know how hard the job is to think of something every day or every couple of days. So you really respect people who can do it for more than, a year or whatever,
100%.
because it's hard because, everybody's thinking about the ideas, and you can't really, you can't reinvent the wheel. Somebody's going to write an article this week about Connor McDavid scoring 65 goals. So, we all are sort of we're fishing in the same pool for ideas. So I respect people who have longevity because it's tough.
Al, we've talked a lot of the orders so far today. So I want to get a quick thoughts. When you look around the Pacific Division, Calgary, Vancouver, which team do you think has a better chance to get back to the postseason this year?
Well, I think there's going to be regression, good regression in Calgary. Mangiapane's going to be better. I think Huberdeau has to be better, and the goaltending should be better. Like Vancouver, to me, is a team that has simply waited too long to rebuild, and now they've got some really nice players like Hughes and Pettersson, but they have a big hole between them and anything that's coming up that's going to push and be better. Calgary, I think, is a pretty solid veteran team. They've got really good defense, and they didn't trade the players they probably should have this summer. So they're going to go into free agency with a lot of very valuable players. I think Calgary's a better team. That might not be the case next year, depending upon who they can sign or not sign. But Calgary's a better bet this year.
Are you surprised? Because Craig Conroy at the start of the summer said, hey, I don't want to go in to next season in a similar situation where we have all these pending UFAs. Yet here we are a few weeks away from training camp, basically a month away from the start of the regular season, and they're all pending UFAs. Now, some of them might, when people say, oh, Backlund won't be back, I'm sorry, Backlund's going to be 36. I'm not too worried about that one, right? We know that Hannafin's not re-signing in Calgary. Some guys just don't want to. That's their prerogative. It's fine. So depending on where they're at, and they'll survive. Guys like that, yeah, he's a good player, but you'll probably survive without him. It's Lindholm. What's your expectations there? Do you ultimately? I still think he's going to re-sign in Calgary because I think they might just give him the long-term deal. I'm not sure it's going to be the best thing for the organization to have that many guys long-term, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I think they're going to give him a deal I don't know if it'll be as much or more than Huberdeau, but they're locked in. They're in a tough spot because they're going to pay big money for people who aren't the best left winger or center in the division, and they have to because they're, as you said, Hannafin's not coming back. He's probably going to end up in Boston or on the Eastern Seaboard somewhere, and that's a really big loss. And they don't want to trade him because they want the fan base to be satisfied with the product. They are in a tough spot, and I agree with you. I think they're going to sign. Backlund is, fine, but it doesn't move the needle. The free agents that still have prime years left are the key. They're going to lose Hannafin. They can't afford to lose another one of them. I think Calgary's in a really tough spot, Jason. Right now, they almost have no choice. They've got to sign him. And the Huberdeau deal, man, they need to find a center that can help Huberdeau score those goals, and Barkov's not coming here, so that's going to be a tough one. I think Calgary's in a really tough spot, and I think Conroy took over at a really dangerous time.
Well, I really think they got to find a shooter for Huberdeau. He's been a pass-first guy his whole career, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, they got to find somebody who can finish because he's more of a playmaker, always has been, always will be. And, I think the 115-point season is something that nobody should really expect. That was a career high. It's great. I think his next highest is 92 points. So when you look at a guy like Huberdeau, I still think he can get back to 85 points. That doesn't surprise me at all. But they're going to need they need a shooter to play with him. And, even when Lindholm had his 40-goal season there with Gaudreau and Tkachuk, that was kind of an aberration to have three guys, all 40-goal players. It just doesn't happen very often. That leads me to the Los Angeles Kings, who, of course, made a big deal acquiring Dubois in the offseason. But they gave away a lot of forward depth in order to get him, right? They made some moves on the back end as well. Durzi's out. And they're goaltending, right? They're hoping that Cam Talbot can be reunited with Todd McClellan. Where do you come out on the Kings?
I think the Kings are despite getting PLD, I think they're closer to flat than they are improving. The only thing I will say is Brant Clark and a couple of the forwards, if they spike, then the Kings are going to be something else. But I don't think their goaltending is I don't think it's going to put them into the top 2 or 3 in the division. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot, and I do wonder, I like Kaliev a lot, and I like the big center a lot, but they played NHL games for a couple or more years now. It's time for them to go. It's sort of that's like Broberg. They need to spike, and if they do, then Los Angeles is going to be a really difficult out in the playoffs. But if they don't, then I think that the last couple of years' versions of the Kings might be the best that Todd McClellan has there, because if they start going backwards, they'll probably replace the coach in LA.
You know me, Gregor. I don't cheer for any team other than the Oilers, and I want the whole Pacific to crumble to dust so that the Oilers gain the division title they deserve so heartily. I'm happy to see everyone doing terribly. I worry more when players want to stay in Calgary. When they dip, I'm like, yeah, exactly, Tkachuk. Finally, you're thinking. Huberdeau contract is probably one of the top 5 things that happened to the Oilers. That is a behemoth of a contract he's never going to live up to. Woo-hoo.
That's a great line. I love that.
It's probably fair. LT, quickly before we go, your Eagles and the NFC, what's your expectation this year? Now, I know you always, geez, the Eagles, if they can get 9 wins, that'll be good. But, okay, get past the BS. Tell me realistically, what's your expectations from your QB, who's very good, and the rest of the lineup that's pretty solid?
I think they win the division. I think they win. They win more than 10 games, maybe 11 or 12. But I don't think they win the Super Bowl unless Hurts takes one more step forward, because I think he's very good. But the Super Bowl showed that the Eagles have a really good quarterback, but now they're paying him, and Mahomes is. Last night aside, I still can't believe how many drop balls and misses the receivers had. But I think that if the quarterback improves a little more, like another step forward, then I think the Eagles could win the Super Bowl. And I do think they'll win the division, despite the fact that Dallas will probably be better, and I hate Dallas.
LT, Gregor's looking at me here. I don't know anything about the NFL, but I listen to you, and I want to know one thing. I want to know how you think the Oilers are going to do this year, because you're always right.
I think they'll win the Pacific, and I think they'll win the Stanley Cup.
What on earth just happened at the 1440 studios? You do?
Yep, I do. I think guys, there's just too much. There's just too much.
Wow. Oh, I don't. You're sitting there shocked. Like, most people have the Oilers as a legit cup contender one. And I honestly, I think your reaction, there's lots of Oiler fans who deep down want to believe it, but almost don't want to get their hopes up. But Edmonton's good. Like, Edmonton's really good. They could have won the cup last year. They had 2 bad second periods in the 5th and 6th games against Vegas, like horrible second periods. And that cost them. Draisaitl talked about it yesterday, no question. So, the Oilers, being a legit contender, to me, I think that's obvious. But as we all know, you get to the playoffs, who knows what can happen. Colorado's good. Dallas is good. Vegas is obviously good. There'll be some Eastern teams. But when you've got McDavid and Draisaitl, that just gives you a massive advantage to start. And then you just got to have everybody else rise up with them. So I think it's going to be a good year for Edmonton. I'm with Al. I do believe the Oilers are going to win their first division since 1987.
Do you think they're going to win the cup too? Come on, Greg.
I won't make my cup prediction just yet. I like to wait. I want to see who's the breakout preseason player.
That's a key piece to the puzzle.
That's the key thing. I like to really overvalue preseason games.
I stand by my Ty Ratty 8-year contract offer that I thought would be a good idea. I stand behind it.
Yes. Awesome. Al, have a great weekend.
You boys have a great one too.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.
It's Al Mitchell, a.k.a. Lowetide, and the Oil Report brought to you by Volvo of Edmonton. When we return, it'll be a Wanye Gretz debut in 5 questions. Can't wait for this and more on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
A full-service provider of heavy haul transportation and rigging at the highest level. Next Gen Transportation.
We're developing new and innovative ways to transport oversized and overweight equipment to remote and challenging locations.
Our Next Gen team leads with a wealth of experience and expertise. But most importantly, we put safety first, so everyone gets home safely.
We also take great pride in supporting our local community programs and teams. Good luck to everyone this season and in the year ahead.
Visit nextgentransportation.com.
Christensen Communities, the name in active adult living. Enjoy retirement living without compromise. At Christensen, we understand that each lifestyle is unique. We are committed to providing choice through optional dining, personal services, recreation programs, and care plans to suit your current and future needs. Enjoy maintenance-free living and build new friendships in a safe, independent community. Large suites with full kitchens and in-suite laundry, on-site amenities, and so much more. Find out more today about our communities across the province at cdlhomes.com.
Hey sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Sports betting is now live at PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website. All the revenue from provincial gaming programs goes back into Alberta communities like yours. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. Learn more at PlayAlberta.ca.
When it comes to tough, there's no second best. If you want the truck built with power, capability, and innovation, there's no substitute. There's only Ford F-150. Right now, lease the 2023 F-150 XLT Super Crew 4x4 302 with 3.5-liter EcoBoost and Sport Appearance Package for $299 bi-weekly. Offer ends October 2nd. Visit your Alberta Ford store or Ford.ca for details. $57.50 down at 3.99% APR for 24 months.
At the James Insurance Group, their job is to protect you for any occasion. So when your son wants to start working on his golf swing in the backyard, well, at least you know our insurance forms can cover his golf form. Find a solution that works for your personal needs and coverage with the James Insurance Group. Working for Albertans across the province, the James Insurance Group will find you the best value and coverage you need. Find us at tjig.ca. That's tjig.ca.
How low can they go? At Buy Low Foods, they can go way low. Stock up and save big when you buy more of select products. Only at Buy Low Foods.
Hey Edmonton, this is Kevin Brown from your Edmonton Elks. The kids are taking over the Labor Day rematch. Saturday, September 9th is Family Day against the Calgary Stampeders. Edmonton Elks football, our team, our city.
Twist up your snack time with Tim's new Savory Twists. Served warm in 4 cheese or everything seasoning. They're a buttery and flaky pastry and freshly baked throughout the day. So grab and go with Tim's new Savory Twists today at participating restaurants in Canada.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, the Brass Bonanza. It's been too long, baby. It has been too long. Love having it back. Gets me in a good frame of mind. It truly does. And I'm not even making that up. I hear the song, puts a smile on my face. I know there's lots of people out there. We get texts all the time how their young kids have been in the car with them now, and they love Positive Friday because they know the song's coming on all the time. So it's fantastic. It's great to have it back. It's great to have so many of our listeners back at Sports 1440, involved in the text line 833-401-1440. Many watching now on the live stream for Oilers Nation. So you can check that out. And be sure to subscribe. We get to the 20,000 mark, which we're definitely trending to. So subscribe button. We want it. Make sure you subscribe when you get there. You can see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, which is fantastic. And also we'll be giving away some tickets to see the Orange and Blue in October for anybody who's a subscriber. So you can check that out right now, Oilers Nation on YouTube. We got some funny comments on there. Hey, boys, speaking of trampolines, I accidentally double bounced the snot on my son when he weighed the same as a normal pot roast. Pretty sure I was going to go to jail until he started laughing when he got up and yelled again. So there you go, young kids, right? Like, man, in a lot of cases, you see them fall. Everybody's probably had that. I still remember that probably 3 seconds of utteral fear when my wife's out. It's her first time she goes out of town. So it's boys weekend. My son was probably, a year and a half, whatever. And I'd taken care of my son a lot. So that part didn't bother me. So we were playing downstairs. We had an unfinished basement back then. So, you can play whatever. You don't care if you're ripping the poly off the walls or whatever. And we're coming up the stairs. Our stairs carpeted. And it's pretty tall. We probably had like 15 stairs. And I'm ahead of my son. And he's carrying up, I think he's carrying up a blanket. I can't remember what it was. He gets to the second top stair and he just loses his balance. And I turn around and all I see is a cartwheel. And my son's going down the stairs. I'm just like, oh my God. And I get to the bottom. Of course, he's crying, right? So you run down there. Are you okay? And he's fine. And it wasn't hurt at all, right? But man, like I think most parents have had that for a second of just like a fear. You're just like, oh my God, like son might break his neck here. But kids are very, they're Gumby-ish at that age. So luckily he was up and around, and obviously I told my wife later on because whatever, but it was still, I can visualize it now exactly, and thankfully I haven't had one of those moments. So I could see when you double bounce your son, and as a dad you get caught up in the moment, and father instincts are great, but sometimes you're still a young guy at heart and you're like, I'll give him a little bit of juice, and next thing you know, little pot roast is flying up 6-8 feet.
You ever seen a pot roast fly through the summer night?
Yeah,
I have.
Well, I can see it. You've probably done it, right? Like, how old's Jack?
I don't understand why trampolines are suddenly like this thing I seem to have missed out on my entire life. I don't know that I've been on a trampoline.
What?
I don't know that I have. I didn't grow up in a bounce world, apparently, like you did, where where you lived Beverly Hills, every backyard had a trampoline.
Buddy, we were in the rough streets of Leduc on 65 Apache Crescent. Trust me, it was not the
every other house has a trampoline. Every other house has a Rolls Royce.
No, we had to go over to the to the higher end part of Leduc at that point, like on Corinthia Drive.
My, those people live.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I think it was Chris Floden. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was Chris Floden. His dad was a police officer. I remember his house because he had a police dog, and very well tamed. But anybody who's had a police dog knows, like, they're friendly, but they're a police dog. So you're not like roughhousing with them because all of a sudden the dog's taking you down in 2 seconds. But yes, I remember being Chris Floden's house where I was double bounced over the fence into the neighbor's yard.
Over under on your pot roast size? Were you larger than a pot roast?
Oh no, dude. I was probably 12 or 13.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. No, it was fun and very scary at the same time. Right? Like those seconds where you're going through the air, and as you're crossing over the fence, you're like, oh, this isn't going to feel good. But no, I got up. I just learned.
You cleared an 8-foot fence.
Well, we were on the trampoline, right? So when they double bounce, you've never been on a trampoline.
I've seen double bouncing. Yeah. I'm not living in a bubble.
Who's never been on a trampoline? How many? Okay, text in, please. Has anyone else never been on a trampoline? Like, you remind me of Phoebe Buffet right now, and she's never ridden a bicycle. And you, as a child, never had Wait. Are you raising your hand, Connor Halley?
He's waving to people.
I
Looking
was
at
waving
us.
at people in the mall.
I
I've
thought
done that a few times.
Are you telling me you've never been on? I was just like, what? Who am I living with in studio right
This
now?
is strange that people just sort of walk up and
Yeah.
we're like fishing in an aquarium.
I
Remember
wanna-
when the mall used to have flamingos?
Yeah.
We're the new flamingos.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah.
I just want to be the greeter. So when people come by and wave, they get me like.
Yeah, because
You can't see.
Connor's
Yeah.
looking out, right? I'm looking towards Con, so my back's towards the window. So, but maybe I have to adjust my seat now. give him the Queen wave.
Yeah,
one-hander. How you doing? So I like it. Let's get to 5 questions now. Brought to you by The Brick, and whoo, baby. Oh, by the way, The Brick, great place, located just down from us actually, and they're building just a massive new location. I see it on 137th Ave and 170th Street down on the West End. It's going to be huge. So obviously, it looks like it's going to be some sort of distribution center. But anyway, right now at The Brick, they got their 10 sale going on, 60%. That's 60 on original price for clearance items. You can get the best below cost clearance items right now at The Brick and thebrick.com.
Trampoline.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Question number 1. Since we'll have Bruce Boucher on the show in about 30 minutes time, if you were to be hiring a new NHL coach, but they have to be available, who would be at the top of your list?
I'll go first. Dallas Aikens, of course. Dallas Aikens hockey needs to come back.
You missed the Swarm?
I missed the Swarm. I think he had a lot of good ideas about chopping wood and carrying water. Recently, there was an interview with Nail Yakupov. Seemed to endorse his coaching style. Let's get him back, Dallas.
Who would I go? That's I'm gonna go off the board a little bit. I'm gonna go with Joel Ward. I think Joel Ward. Now I'm putting him in the kind of the Andrew Burnett category. Yeah, he doesn't have a ton of coaching experience of being an assistant coach. He's a very, very cerebral player. There's just certain guys I think that would make good coaches, very good communicator. Now, I think he would need a good X and O's assistant coach, but I'm going to go Joel Ward.
Question number 2. The Elks obviously taking on the Stampeders tomorrow. Labor Day rematch over at Play Alberta right now. The Elks are coming in as favorites, and the over-under is set at 48.5 points. If you were throwing some money down this weekend on this matchup, where would it go?
Well, it hit the over on Monday. And you know me, lots of times the rematch here, it's the second day. Now there's that extra day. I think it's going to be under. So and you know me, Cons, like, I don't like it. I don't like picking the under, but I'm going to take the under.
I'll predict fireworks. Elks are favorites. What is going on? There's going to be a beatdown. Calgary.
How about over under?
Over.
All right.
Yeah, man, over.
All
Fireworks.
right. I love it. Okay, question number 3. We had a fun game last night, entertaining right till the very end. Coming up on Sunday and or Monday, what do you think will be the most entertaining game in the NFL?
Young Aaron Rodgers against the Bills. Let's go Jets.
Jets. That's a good pick. You know what, Cons? It's Positive Friday. And for pure entertainment value, I think Connor's Chargers and the Miami Dolphins, there's lots of offensive talent on both sides. I think it's going to be a high-scoring, entertaining game. I'm going to go Chargers-Dolphins.
I like that pick. I'm hoping for a blowout, but I think you're right. I think it's going to be high-scoring and a close one. Question number 4. We don't have a team out in Edmonton yet, but with the PWHL launching, if you had to hop on a bandwagon, which team are you going to become a supporter of?
Who did Kia Nurse sign to?
Well, she's in basketball, so
Sarah Nurse.
Sarah Nurse.
Sarah Nurse. Who'd she sign to?
Ooh, God.
Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto. Yeah. Noah Gregor, Toronto. That's who I'm going with. Toronto.
Well, which of the cities do I like the best? I will go with, I don't know why, just Minnesota just seems like a team that, like, there's nothing I really hate about Minnesota. I actually went to Six Flags once in Minnesota. It's like one of the greatest road trips of my life. So I will go with Minnesota.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cons, what about you?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'll go with New York. No real reason for it. Big city, bright
Just because
lights.
they were the last team to announce their 3. You're like, I like that.
Yeah, I like kind of playing it cool, playing it coy.
That's your strategy.
I like that. And you might be able to attract some free agents going to that big market, you know? So I'll go New York. I don't usually associate with New York teams, but going to make an exception here. Final question for you guys today. It is Friday. That makes this a hypothetical Friday. You can have any type of pet you want. No limit on size or expense. What animal are you going to bring into your house?
I want 12 live Bubba Gump shrimp in a pail, doing tricks. That's how I'm living.
Ooh. Well, so they're in my house. It can't be that big, right? Because I don't want a big animal in the house just in case they have an accident, because then you got to clean it up. So that would be brutal.
Shrimp don't do that.
No. Well, they do, but it's just not a lot. It's in the water, so you don't really have to clean it. You just dump it down the sink. So
Gross.
a fish, hey, I had a fish tank. I had to clean it, but it was definitely not the same as, a dog or a cat. I would go, what would be a unique animal? You know what? I'd want one of those talking parakeets. The white ones, they're bouncing their head around and, they just look like they're having a great time, right? You could teach them some words. I know everybody always laughs when you teach them the swear word, but I want to teach them some kind of comedy words or something. More so a few words that maybe would irritate my wife. That's what it'd be. And just have the bird, because then you couldn't get mad at me. Be like, well, I didn't say it. I have no idea what's going on here. So,
Connor, if he gets this bird, he's going to train it to use the board. So you got to keep a sharp eye out. This bird never arrives.
Oh, honestly, those birds look like, and they just seem like they're very confident, right? Like they got a lot of style. They got a lot of flair, right? Like the hairdo on the top. That's what I want. Cons?
Thought long and hard about this one. I'm thinking I'm going to go with the penguin. I think it'd be cool to have a penguin just waddling around the house. I don't know what I have to do if I put the temperature down or anything like that, but
of course you do.
Little penguin in the house. I think that'd be really cool to have.
These are hard questions. Can I get them a month in advance going forward?
Probably
NFL game. I don't know.
7 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you a 6-hour window next time. I thought you did fine.
Wow. Kia Nurse.
No.
Bit of a mistake. Bit of a slip up.
Hey, guys, I like this one. Pet has to be a sloth from the Lamb Hammer. Well, sloths are pretty cuddly, right? You see them sometimes, like when people help them across the road, then they give them a big hug.
Really?
Well, I've seen those. You know what? I make that statement based solely on a few videos I've seen online, which might not be an accurate depiction of sloth life, but they seem quite thankful based on the limited video experience that I've had.
They got claws, though, and those claws, they can activate. Shrimp don't have claws. They have delicious insides.
I do love shrimp. We might have to try, but we might have to get Bubba Gump a sponsor, man. We're getting a lot of plugs here.
You know I'm bringing Bubba Gump next week, whether they pay or not.
Yeah, we might have to talk about that. I like it. Let's get to a Sports Center update now, brought to you by Edmonton Kubota. They're excited to be back on the air with Sports 1440. And they're so excited that right now, all of their compact BX tractors, you can get financing 0% for 84 months. It's a long time. Shop online, EdmontonKubota.com. Here is the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update.
Take on the Ticats. Kick off in a few.
Care of them too. Cochran's Automotive services your vehicle with pride. When you need to fix it up, bring the whole family fleet. Junior's WRX, Mom's MPV, Dad's 1500, or even Grandpa's old 88. All makes and models are welcome. Trust Cochran's Automotive to professionally repair your family's pride and joy. Beat the heat and let Cochran's Automotive recharge your AC. Call 780-452-5001.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
Our cars are our lifeline, and every now and then we need to take care of them too. Cochran's Automotive services your vehicle with pride. When you need to fix it up, bring the whole family fleet. Junior's WRX, Mom's MPV, Dad's 1500, or even Grandpa's old 88. All makes and models are welcome. Trust Cochran's Automotive to professionally repair your family's pride and joy. Beat the heat and let Cochran's Automotive recharge your AC. Call 780-452-5001.
McCafe now has cold brew beverages, and they're smooth. Made with 100% Arabica beans, steeped cold and slow for an irresistibly smooth taste. McCafe cold brew beverages, for a limited time only at participating McDonald's.
At jackpotcity.net, you can do amazing things with just one casino chip. Discover a world of incredible casino games with over 500 high-quality online slot games, including the world-renowned progressive jackpot slot Mega Moolah. Play for free at jackpotcity.net and get treated as a VIP 24/7. So visit jackpotcity.net today on your tablet, laptop, or mobile. Jackpot City, a whole world of casino games. 18 plus, please play responsibly. This is not a gambling website.
So, Dan, ready for hockey season?
Are you kidding me? My kid's outgrown everything.
Looks like someone needs to go to St. Albert's Source for Sports. With coaches, players, and scouts who know the game. And the latest technology, like the Bauer 3D scanner. When it comes to hockey equipment, you're guaranteed to find the perfect fit at St. Albert's Source for Sports.
Ready now?
Sort of. All the gear fits.
Nice.
But my kid forgot his can at home.
No! St. Albert's Source for Sports, your hockey headquarters for over 35 years.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free Radio Player app and listen wherever you go.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday, the final hour. Maybe your work week is done. You're in the car. It's been a while on a Friday. They've been able to listen to sports talk radio in the Edmonton area. Well, guess what? It's back, baby. And it's hoping that it's back for a long time on Sports 1440. I'm Jason Gregor alongside Wanye Gretz from Motors Nation. Connor Halley with you. Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And remember, not only sports betting, if you like to play the lottery, think you're lucky. How about $12 million tonight? Cool 12 schmil. Probably could change your life a little bit. So check it out at PlayAlberta.ca. On a positive Friday. We have lots going on. Of course, Big's Elks games tomorrow night, 5 o'clock. Looking forward to that. Got some tickets. Going to sit in the crowd. Son's at that age where he really likes to go to the games. So looking forward to it. Should be a good time. Should be a competitive. Hey, all I care about, I hope, is that it's a competitive game. At this point, that's pretty much, what you want. Now, ideally, you'd like a win. We had Cam Tate 2-minute warning earlier today talking about Trey Ford and the excitement that goes with being number 2 in Edmonton. Not saying he's Gizmo Williams, but Gizmo Williams might have been the most entertaining Elks player of all time. And Trey Ford right now, he's pretty entertaining. So he himself is definitely fun to watch. Now, let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction. Just reminding you, I know there's still lots of construction on the road. Please drive safe. Be respectful of all those in the construction zone. They want to get home to their families just as quickly as you do. That's GS Construction, as we welcome in from Sportsnet, Mark Spector. And Spec, let's start with the green and gold and Trey Ford and kind of a shot of adrenaline to the Elks organization, to the fan base, to see an exciting player like that. And I know they lost on Monday, but at least there's like there's hope now. People like they go to the game and they're thinking, hey, we can win. And I think Trey Ford's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, what a juxtaposition, what a turnaround. This was a team that I'd say for the first 5 games, I mean, you watched them play and you never even got an inkling like they had a chance to win. And then they had a couple games where they gave you a couple of good quarters, and all of a sudden Trey Ford comes along, and not only do you have a guy that you just can't wait to see him get on the field, he gives you hope you can win every game. There could be a touchdown on any drive. Anytime he starts scrambling, you stop what you're doing and you're watching the TV, right? This guy is, now they got a few other guys too, but all of a sudden they've gone from a team that was, let's face it, man, setting records for futility to a team that has arguably the most exciting young player in the CFL. Wow, where'd that come from?
Oh, but you kind of have experience cheering for a team like this as a longtime Cubbies fan, right? So you could probably relate.
Hey, buddy, the Edmonton football team has not lost anywhere nearly as long as my Cubbies did. Like, it isn't even in the same universe, pal.
But you understand the frustration, right?
Oh, hey, listen, no win feels better than the win that was preceded by a long bunch of losing. And yeah, what that football team in this football town, in my lifetime, I've never seen it in the dumps like it was earlier this season. I mean, like I watched every quarter they've played this season, and there was times when you just thought these guys can't get out of their way. Like they might not win a game. The odds makers, Jason, were there. You could bet who was going to win the first game in Commonwealth Stadium, the Elks or the Oilers. So I mean, that's all I got to hear. If they're running that stuff out, the bookies are running that bet out. Oh boy, that's not pretty.
Yeah, well, luckily for the green and gold, they won it, and now they could get 2 and maybe 3 or 4 even by the time the Oilers are in there at the end of next month, taking on the Flames in the Heritage Classic. Speaking of the Oilers, Raphael Lavoie was in Washington for the rookie orientation, and usually, organization will send somebody who hasn't been a regular in the NHL before. They go there, and I've talked to players who went there. It's pretty eye-opening. A lot of stuff you learn, the business side of it. There's lots of instruction on kind of the don'ts to do as a player. Then when you look at the depth chart of the Oilers, and even maybe, the salary, because every dollar counts for Edmonton. Do you think Raphael Lavoie, because he's also waiver eligible, Spec, like where do you see him on Edmonton? Do you think he's an opening night guy?
Well, let's talk about their right wingers, right? You think about their right wing. I haven't heard anyone in the city tell me that their top 2 right wingers in one order or another aren't going to be Zach Hyman and Connor Brown. That's your top 2 right wingers on this team. So who's your third line right winger on this team?
I would guess Fogle.
Well, yeah. So who's your third line? I mean, McLeod's your third line center. Fogel's a third line player. Holloway's probably your third line left winger. Certainly you're not pushing Fogle off that third line. I think he's a fixture there. So maybe we're talking about whether it's Lavoie or Holloway, that you could make that argument. And then if the Oilers are still set on finding a different fourth line center than Derek Ryan, well, Derek Ryan's going to play every day as a fourth line right winger. So you know what? Lavoie's going to. This is a good team. You don't just get a spot anymore in Edmonton the way you used to when you're a young guy. He's got to push his way on. He's got to make him move somebody else around. And if he doesn't, he'll be the one getting moved. It's simple as that.
I know there's always lots of concern. Mark Spector joins Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction on Sports 1440. There's lots of concern once a player becomes waiver eligible, and everyone's like, oh, geez, you know what? He'll get claimed. Now, Raphael Lavoie is a second-round pick. He's 6'4". He's 215 pounds. He had a really good, once he got healthy last year, final 4 months of the season, he was the best player in the American League. They're on Bakersfield, not best player in the league, but best player on Bakersfield. So he's trending in the right direction, but he's 6'4", 215 pounds. There's not a lot of guys like that. So, if he was 6 feet tall, Spec, and 190 pounds, and then it might not be as much. But when you're that big, it just, people look, and size is always enticing for scouts, still is, especially when you got some skill to it. So I wonder how much the waiver is a factor, or is it not, because lots of teams, maybe different size, different style, but lots of teams have a Raphael Lavoie guy who's close, but also might go down the minors.
Yeah, no, everybody has that guy, and they do it. Everybody clears them out on, like, if let's say the season starts on a Wednesday, often Monday and Tuesday are the days when everyone pounds guys through waivers, and it's such a busy time. Everyone's so busy trying to get down to a number. That's the time to sneak your guy through. Usually he won't get picked up. However, Jason, you listed all this kid's qualities, right? He looks like he can score a little. He's got good size. We'll figure out if he's got the boots to play in the NHL. But you know what you missed? He's a Quebecois kid, right? And the Montreal Canadiens have a whole bunch of holes in their lineup and their system, and boy, do they have room for a big, strong, potentially scoring French kid. I'm telling you right now, I don't think you get him through the Montreal Canadiens, if not the Ottawa Senators. Both those markets, if they see a good Quebecois kid out there that they think can help, they'll snap him up.
Well, Montreal makes a lot of sense because they might have the smallest forward roster going. Right. Like they got a lot of water bugs on that team. So, there's something to that too. And obviously they'd be one of the first teams to get a shot at them based on last year's standings on the waiver wire. So, it's intriguing. And I think like Raphael Lavoie, I know some people were like, what's he doing? He got bad advice from his agent. And I understand people thinking that way from the team perspective. But from Raphael Lavoie's perspective, he's like, you know what? I plan on being in the NHL, so I want to get as much money as I can, which is, he took his qualifying offer at, what was it, 874, 894? I can't remember exactly which one, one of the two.
Basically 100,000 higher than he had to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know what? Because he's like, hey, if Edmonton doesn't want me because of $100,000, well, then maybe someone else does because I believe in myself. So I understand why he took it. Because some people said, well, because if you're a player, you could sit there and say, well, yeah, I can take 775 because I can probably get more than the 75K in the minors, right? I can probably get 125 or 150. But I don't think Raphael Lavoie's mindset this summer has been, well, I could make 150 in the minors. It's like, I want to make the NHL roster. Stop. Full point. And I kind of like that he bet on himself.
Well, he did. I mean, he also steps to the front of the line of guys to get sent down because he's made on this cap situation in Edmonton. $100,000 is a big deal, right? They're not the Anaheim Ducks that are on their own personal cap. The others are, well, they're already. I mean, what's Connor Brown's making $4 million? He's getting $775 this year. He's getting 3.25 is going to be bonus overages off of next year's cap if he plays 10 games this year. So they're right up against it. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you, Jason. I'm not sure that. I mean, I guess it's this to me. If Raphael Lavoie wants to play in Edmonton, I'm not sure he made the right decision. If Raphael Lavoie is absolutely fine getting picked up and going somewhere else to play, then maybe he did make the right decision.
Yeah, I think he wants to be an NHL player. He'd love to be an Edmonton Oilers NHL player. I think he'd want to be an NHL player. And you could actually argue for Raphael Lavoie, if you're looking at opportunity, getting claimed on waivers by a bottom feeder team would probably give him better opportunity. Like Edmonton, you said it, Spec. Like their top 11 forwards are pretty much locked in.
Yeah.
So, he's going to really, and there's nothing wrong with him, bullying over the door and breaking his way in to get a spot. That's awesome. But it's just the days of getting the free bingo space for young players in Edmonton is gone. And that's a good thing. I never liked the free bingo space. Oh, let's bring in these 5 rookies and we're going to do great. I'm like, have you watched the league? It never works. And teams repeat the same wish list so often. Oh yeah, all these young guys, we got to get them an opportunity, and they get their teeth kicked in. And lots of them never even they never become NHL players, right? Yeah. Because
how many times did we watch that movie?
Oh, God. way too many. Spec,
the Oilers have 3 guys here, right? They got Broberg, they got Lavoie, and they've got Holloway. Yeah. And ideally, all 3 guys are awesome and they make the team. And you got 3 guys on basically entry-level type deals, making 3 players that are making in total less than $3 million. That'd be awesome, for the Oilers cap. But, right? A wise man once told me, if I've got 3 so-called can't miss prospects in the minors, I can think that one of them is going to make it. If 2 makes it, I've won the lottery. Almost never do 3 make it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Spec, have yourself a great day. Have a good weekend.
Hey, have a good weekend, Jake.
There you go. That is Mark Spector from Sportsnet, and the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. Wanye Gretz is still with us.
Darn right.
Did you like Did your mic cut out?
No, I felt like I was listening to the radio live. It was great. I was just sitting here zoning out, vibing with the show. I don't have anything to add. I don't actually know anything. I can't talk when Spector's talking.
Thought you were a little intimidated. Well, next time we'll get you involved. Like I was waiting for you to. I thought you were going to come over to the top on Spec.
I memorized half the teams plus minus from last season, and I am ready to spout those stats if called upon.
Okay, ooh, I like
plus
it.
12.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say who that is.
Okay. Yeah, I can't guess.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of facts.
Is it a Ford?
No, it's a number I made up.
Oh, okay.
Don't dig into it any further.
Okay, I was hoping to just randomly go. Can you name this player based on these two statistics?
I'm just panicking driving here, just staring at NHL.com statistics, trying to cram numbers in my head.
There were 3 players who were plus 12.
Yeah, I thought it was actually a legit thing.
It was legit. It's a game I invented on the way over here called The Sixth
Is Derek
Question.
Ryan one of them?
Yeah.
No. I think Wanye was saying it's not one. Like,
Yeah, that's
what
what I
is
was
it?
saying.
It's not one.
No.
It's 3.
It's,
It's 3.
multiple.
Remember, Spec said you'll never get all 3.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Kulak?
Nope. One had a career year. Well, you know what? 2 had a career year.
Well, there's lots of Oilers who had career years. Like, think about who didn't have a career year last year when you think about it for Edmonton.
Well, one of them didn't,
Yeah.
I would say.
Jack
Well,
Campbell.
Nurse didn't have a career year.
Kyler Yamamoto.
Didn't have a career year.
Yeah, he was plus 12, though.
Yeah. No, let's be real here. It's 2023. Like plus minus, not necessarily the go-to stat.
Can we get back to when Lowetide thinks the Oilers are going to win the cup? What is going on? That is amazing news. He's generally quite right.
Lots of people believe the Oilers are good. You don't believe the Oilers are good?
Are you kidding me? I believe the Oilers are good every year of my life. I still have the hockey news from 2018 when they said Oilers Cup contenders after they'd made the playoffs in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked around my house like that was a cup. And then we all remember how that turned out. I cannot put the cart before the horse again.
So you're an Oilers fan who's very reserved as far as
Did we just meet at Bubba Gump Shrimp?
No, not reserved in life, reserved as far as expectations.
Secretly at night, when I cry myself to sleep about the Reed trade, I know the Oilers are a better team as a result. I know Ekholm and the Beard came to town for a reason. That's our best defenseman since Pronger. I'm believing. It does not surprise me the Oilers are a cup contender. What would surprise me is if I got all excited and said the Oilers are a cup contender and then things didn't work out. I cannot take the heartbreak. Because it's possible now. It's not like before we had to invent RFAs that would come here. We need them to score 40 goals for us to be respectable. We're in the mix.
Yeah, the Oilers are a competitive team. There's no doubt about that. I think first step is win the division for the first time. It's still mind-blowing to me that the Oilers have the longest division winningless streak in the NHL.
Is that true?
Yes. 1987 was the last time the Oilers won the division.
When you look at those banners at the arena, it is shocking how it just stops. It's every year we're winning and we're celebrating, and then it just hits a wall in 1990, and then nothing till 06. And that one little banner. Thank God we gave Garth Brooks a banner, or we wouldn't have anything new up there.
Well, and the Oil Kings, give the Oil Kings credit. They got a few banners up there.
The Edmonton Mercuries from 1873. They have a few banners too.
Yeah. So that's nice. When we return, a gentleman who has, I would say, amongst hockey fans, top 5 usage of a meme. He joins us next on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440 and live on Oilers Nation YouTube.
Trevor is lonely.
Yeah.
So Trevor threw a big party and served salad.
Nobody came.
Mike is also lonely.
Yeah, it sucks, man.
So Mike threw a big party and served Will Hawk beef jerky.
Go Will Hawk! Go Will Hawk! Everybody came!
Will Hawk beef jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Will Hawk is the home of Alberta's best beef jerky.
In Leduc, Spruce Grove, and West Edmonton Mall.
Thinking about solar power? Action Electrical wants to eliminate your entire home or business power bill and keep more cash in your pocket. With effective paybacks in 5 to 9 years, give solar a chance with Action and put your lazy roof to work. Alberta is the second highest province for the amount of full sunlight hours, and with system life exceeding 25 years, solar power is like a McDavid draft pick. Still have questions about solar power? Contact the professionals at actionelectrical.net today. That's actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Alberta Junior Hockey League, Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, and the Hockey Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. A new state-of-the-art entertainment center is set to open in Nisku, which will feature 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and restaurant with a viewing area.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
For the first time ever in Edmonton, the Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, downtown Edmonton City Center, Friday, September 15th through Sunday the 17th. Save up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Plus, you could win your purchase. Up to 50% off clothing, helmets, shoes, bikes, snowshoes, and accessories. Starting September 15th, Edmonton City Center. Friday, 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 9 till 4. Details on Facebook at Louis Garneau Factory VIP Sale, Edmonton.
There's nothing like having a little skin in the game to make things interesting. But when a little skin becomes more than you can afford to lose, it's time to take a break from sports betting. Set a budget and stick to it. If you gamble, use your game sense.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
How low can they go? At Buy Low Foods, they can go way low. Get incredible savings on great products with the lowest buy. Only at Buy Low Foods.
PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated gambling website, features a variety of responsible gambling tools such as a time clock, deposit limits, and more. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca to find out more.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We are back on a positive Friday. Man, what a show. It has been flying by. I love it. Great lineup of guests today. If you missed any of them, you can get the podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, it'll be up right after the show. Individual interviews at jasongregor.com. Lorianne Muenzer. She's going to be a great addition to the station, man. Her story about how she got into cycling and then really what happened at the Olympics when her first time in 2000, 36 seconds, her Olympics were over. And she was like, but by the way, she did set a Canadian record in those 36 seconds. And she left and said, 4 years, I'm going back, I'm winning gold. And that was her focus. And 4 years later, she won gold, which is pretty remarkable. Actually won 2. Which is pretty amazing. Matt Verderam, for all of you NFL fans, fantasy fans, he was great. Livingston talking racing, Lowetide spec, and of course, Wanye Gretz, who will be our Friday co-host on Friday afternoons. Positive Friday adds a lot of fun and humor to the show. Very passionate sports fan, which is nice. Big businessman too. So we'll
gaps in my sports knowledge that's making everyone laugh in the studio. There's gaps.
Well, Connor's we got to get him to turn your mic on.
Well, I got gaps in my mic knowledge too, but I got real gaps in my sports knowledge. That's a source of laughter, and that's what you want to bring to the table. Laughter.
Yes, laughter. Well, if they don't find you funny, if they don't find you handsome, at least they'll find you funny.
Oh, they find me handsome. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I do all right.
That was like a red-green line, right? If they don't find you handsome, at least they'll find you handy. So it was outstanding. Bruce Boudreau the senior advisor for the Niagara Ice Dogs, former NHL coach, who also, did you know, little tidbit of information about Bruce? The movie Slapshot was filmed, lots of it, in his apartment. Yes, true story.
Which scenes?
Well, in the scene. Oh, what's his name's? The guy, the lady with the dog. That was his apartment. Yeah,
that's wild.
That's amazing. Yeah, and so he was an extra in lots of the filming and stuff like that too. So he was one of the players. So yeah, fantastic.
Good learning.
Bruce was living the life back then, man. In the mid 70s with old Paul Newman.
That's a great movie.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It aged well. You can show that movie once a year and not disappoint anyone in the room.
Yeah, I told my son I can't wait till he's of age to watch Slapshot.
What age do you think he has to be?
I think he's got to be at least 16.
Wow.
That's what I would think.
You were flying over fences at 12, getting double bounced.
Yeah, but
he's gotta be.
I want my son to live that life, but I didn't. Slapshot, I don't think is a under 16 age. Like, I don't know, maybe 15. I could be wrong. Like anybody out there who's had kids or that age, like how old when you like at 16? Some might even say he's got to be 18. I don't know, but I would. Yeah, 16 would be the minimum, I think. Like I remember Slapshot, and there's a few scenes in there that are, you know. Like, hey, I guess it'll create conversation and some questions, but I don't know. I'm kind of protective of I like my son to stay as young as he can. I try not to get him into, movies. You can go online now and there's all the gauges for like age appropriate movies and you see all the forms and stuff like that. So you follow it to a T. You kind of know your son. My son's a little sensitive at times. So there's just certain things I probably wouldn't want him to see.
I wandered into my older cousins watching Alien when I was about 6.
How'd that
and
go?
I probably watched 10 minutes of it. I got so scared, my brain chemically changed. I'm still scared of aliens and Sigourney Weaver. You cannot see scary movies. Well, she's terrifying. When you're 6 watching Alien,
though, man.
Wow. Covered in goo, though. Remember the alien?
Yeah.
No, don't let kids watch scary movies too young.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Hey, Wanye, you were the reason I joined the cesspool of Twitter. I used a lot of company time on ON back in the day. Kids and marriage have changed that, though. I miss it. Great to hear you from Mike in the 349.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
There you go. It is nice. Hey, guys, he'll be talking like Slapshot at 13 if he goes to a public school. Oh, jeez. From Lance. Is public school really that different than
Not in Edmonton? You only go to private school if you're bad.
Yeah, I would think so. Like, how many? Honestly, I don't even know the answer to this question. I'm being legit here. How many private schools are there in Edmonton? Anybody know?
The Remand Center. They're actually going to look it up.
No. They're getting their phone. I think Big Bad Bruce is calling us. Yeah, let's get to our OHL report. Brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC or your furnace. Stay cool, stay warm, stay hot, whatever you like. LegacyHeating.ca. And we are joined now by a gentleman who part of his apartment was part of the Slapshot film, being a longtime NHL head coach, one of the most winningest coaches in NHL history. And now he is a special senior advisor for the Niagara Ice Dogs. Bruce Boudreau joins us. Bruce, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Now, Bruce, refresh my memory because I was telling the story because I had you on the DFO rundown with Frank and how they had filmed part of Slapshot in your apartment. Which scenes was your apartment again?
Well, you remember when Paul Newman had the dog on his bed?
Yes.
And he couldn't get to sleep. He was trying to get to sleep, and he's just lying on the bed with the dog, and the phone keeps ringing. People keep knocking on the door, and that was my apartment. So I mean, it was it's a small claim to fame.
How did that come to be?
Well, to be honest, it's not the most what can I say? It does make me put me in a good light anyway. Like, I mean, we were at the dressing room, and George Roy Hill came up and he said, "Okay, we need to do a scene today, and who's got the messiest apartment on the team?" And everybody pointed to me, so it was winning by default. And but for $50 a month, it was pretty good back in the day.
Oh, hey, why not? So they paid to use your apartment. Well, that's good, Bruce.
No, they didn't pay me.
Oh.
They used it, but that's what I was paying to live in that place, $50 a month. So,
but you can make an apartment so messy, Paul Newman comes to visit.
Yeah, I think they 7 vacuum cleaners over there, and they were cleansing the place before he came.
So, Bruce, tell us about the new gig that you have now with the Niagara Ice Dogs, a senior advisor. So, what's the senior advisor's role?
Well, you know what? I don't rightly know right now, but I think basically it is. I've been played junior for the Marlies for 3 years, and have what I would think is a pretty vast experience in the game itself. Is just to help out and give advice when I can, and give my adjustments or what I would think would be the right thing to do, and be there for an ear for Mr. DeDobler, and if he asks me any pertinent questions, give him my thoughts. I will be up to a lot of the games, and I think I know what I'm talking about when it comes to hockey. Maybe nothing else, but hockey I do, and hopefully use that use me as a sounding board as to situations that might happen.
I like, having wisdom, Bruce, is a very powerful thing, and I think it's a very important thing. And people have always talked about what a great communicator Bruce was. Very honest. Obviously, got a good self-deprecation at times. You got a good sense of humor. When you look at the game now, like especially at junior hockey, like these kids are sponges, and everybody wants to get to the NHL, right? Like that's their goal when you're playing junior hockey for the most part. But at times it's like, it's almost too serious. You know what I mean? Like, I get that's got to be the focus, but there's still got to be an enjoyment about it. How important is that to ensure that, the kids, they can be focused, but they don't have to be robotic and they don't have to be serious. Like, you're able to enjoy the moment somewhat.
Well, I agree. I mean, hey, listen, it's a fun game, and if you don't make it fun, then it's not worth doing. I mean, these kids now, they have their own trainers, their own coaches and everything else at 12, 13, 14 years old. They take it a lot more serious than we did. Back in the day, we would play baseball in the summer, golf in the summer, and hockey in the winter. But, my job, I don't know really how much I will get a chance to talk to the players, but I will talk to the players, and a lot of it will be talking to the coaches and telling them situations that I've gone through and how I handled that. And maybe this might, I'll never tell them exactly what to do, but I mean, they could take my experience from situations that I've had and use it. I mean, I own 2 junior teams it's actually probably junior B if you would classify it in the States, in Hershey and in Minnesota. And I get a chance to talk to those kids and coaches all the time. And I mean, it's without being too demanding, because I know what it's like when a GM or a president tries to tell you what to do all the time. I don't really like it, and I'd never liked it, but I will give them advice when warranted and when needed. And hopefully I help the owner when he's got questions, and he can run them by me, because I'm sure I've faced that situation in the past.
Bruce Boudreau joins us as a special advisor for the Niagara Ice Dogs. And you mentioned being a 2-time owner, Bruce. Obviously, they know who owns the team, so they don't have to ask who owns the teams, which is fantastic. But with all your vast experience in the NHL, you're 21st all-time in NHL history in wins. You got a .568 winning percentage, which is one of the highest for coaches, especially guys that have coached over 1,000 games. When you look back, what do you feel was your best attribute as a head coach?
Well, I think it was communication. I think I was able to talk to the players, and the players were able to talk to me and ask questions that they wanted to, and they didn't have any fear. I would give them an honest answer. I had a big sign over my desk all the time: is the door is always open, but don't think if you come in and you ask a question, you're going to get an honest answer, and it might not be the one you want. So, and by the way, it was a .627 winning percentage, not .568.
Okay, I might have looked at your playoff winning percentage. You could be right. I like that.
No, yeah, if that includes playoffs, then it could be. But I mean, as far as just regular season, it was 6+. So I know that.
Bruce, I love that. Even better, buddy. Fantastic. Well, hey, when you coach that many games, you should know that stuff. That's great. Now, Bruce, the other thing I've always liked about you is you seem to have a pretty good sense of humor. We saw you're obviously a huge wrestling fan. Are you a fan of memes? Like, do your grandkids, like, have they, everybody's seen the meme where it's, oh, darn, you know, and it's Bruce on the bench. He's dropping the F-bomb. They don't see it, but they see the darn. Like, does that one give you a chuckle? Or do your buddies, do your family members, is that meme getting shared in the Boudreaux's group chats?
Oh, I get it all the time. And my grandkids are still too young for it, but I get it from my kids everywhere all the time. I mean, and they know me. Once I start getting wound up, and I tell them all the time the same as I tell the players, I don't know what's coming out of my mouth next, so just beware. So here it goes.
Like I could just imagine as a son or daughter, you know, you're having a conversation with dad or something, and then whatever, and then you just throw that meme in, like, oh man, it changed. Like right away, it can't make you not laugh, but I would assume because it's so personal, it can be used at really good times in conversations.
Oh, it can be, yeah, and a couple of those words are really work out at a good time, and they're well used.
Bruce Boudreau joins. Bruce, as a coach who is game planning, and you know, here in Edmonton, the Edmonton Oilers are a really good team. You know what? I think most people across the league have them as one of the cup contenders. There's probably 5, 6, 7 teams when the season begins. I want to ask you, if you had a chance, like the Oilers power play last year, best we've ever seen. The last 3 years, it's averaging 29%. Like it's ridiculous. Outside of hey, don't take penalties, but is there anything you think teams could do to slow down that power play?
I think every team has tried everything. And I mean, but when you have Connor and Draisaitl, and you got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins in the middle, and now, you know, I mean, they got Bouchard on the point, and whether it's Hyman in front, I mean, they got a perfect 5. And it's very difficult to stop them because, I mean, first of all, they're not stationary. If you look at what Washington's power play, for example, used to be, and they'd have Alex over in his spot, but now that their power play hasn't been very good the last couple of years because there's not a lot of movement. But you look at Edmonton's power play, Connor never stays in the same spot. Draisaitl never stays in the same spot. So it makes the pressure on the penalty killers so much tougher because, I mean, you talk about putting your head on a swivel. You never know where they are, and they can pass it, shoot it, and do all of those things. And then if you pay too much attention to them, Evans got a pretty good shot from what I've seen, and I mean, that becomes a dangerous option too. So, I mean, to me, Edmonton's power play is their crux of whether they do good or bad. And if their power play stays true to form, I think they'll be one of the top teams in the league.
You know, it's interesting because the whole point of a power play is you have an advantage. It's 5-on-4. And if you execute it right, sometimes you can have the best penalty kill in the world, but you're still down a man, right? So do you ever get, like, as a coach, you get frustrated, or sometimes you just have to be like, well, what are we supposed to do here, right? Like they're moving it around so quickly. Our guys can be in the right position. They're still going to get beat. How do you think the mindset is for teams not to get too down against that power play?
Well, I mean, you're going to get down because they're going to score. But, I mean, at the same time, there's not a team that doesn't a guy that's in charge of the penalty killing look over the Edmonton power play game in and game out, and they'll go back the last 5 games and see how they're doing and what they're doing. And everybody knows what they're doing, and that doesn't really matter. I mean, it's hard to stop. And that's the thing. It's what makes McDavid and Draisaitl 2 of the best players in the world. Is no matter what you do, they're so good. It's really, if they've got control of the puck, it's really difficult to stop. So the best thing you can do is every time you touch that puck, you got to make sure it goes down the ice and that there's no turnovers. Because if you do that, you're going to be doomed.
Bruce, one last one for you. Where did your love of wrestling start?
I have no idea. I mean, I just used to watch it in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And then some reporter asked me in Vancouver, who's your top 5 wrestlers? And Canadian wrestlers. And I had no idea that was coming. And I started blurting out things. And then the next thing you know, I'm meeting Kevin Owens. I'm talking to Edge. I'm doing all of this stuff, and it just grew and grew like that. But I mean, I was just a casual watcher.
Yeah.
Now I think I've got to watch it every Monday and every Friday, or people are going to give me craps, and I can't do that. So I gotta be knowledgeable now. But sometimes the storylines are really good. Sometimes it's not so good. But I mean, I've been a fan, and meeting some of these guys, they're great people. And I mean, they should be hockey players. They go through so much punishment.
Oh yeah.
And they can take it, and they play with broken legs and broken arms and injuries. And that, I mean, you'd love as a coach for guys to want to play through that and not very unlike some sports where you get a sore finger and you miss a week or something.
When you look at wrestling from the set, like it's really evolved. Like now, as much of it is about wrestling, it's you got to have the vocal game. You got to be good on the microphone. You got to be able to engage the crowd positively or negatively. If you got to be a wrestler, Bruce, would you want to be the hero or the villain?
I think the villain's so much more fun. I mean, I've told Kevin Owens, I said, listen, just let me be your manager. I want to take a kendo stick to Paul Heyman's head. Like, I mean, I would be great. That I've given them scenarios how you could become champion, and like, I mean, it's been funny, but I mean, I think, well, with me being at the age I am, I think I'd be a pretty cool, mean manager.
Oh, buddy, I remember the day, like the managers used to be like a real big part of the show. Right? Like I love that Bobby the Brain Heenan and so you would like to be the heel manager. Oof. Yeah. I like that. Bruce might have to put that. We might have to put that out there. You never know.
Put it out there. And if Mr. McMahon gives me a call, I'm there.
Okay. We love it. Well, Bruce.
Unless an NHL head coaching gives me a call first, I think I'd rather do that.
Okay. Well, that's fair. That's totally fair. Well, best of luck in the senior advisor role with Niagara, and hopefully we see you back in the NHL or in the WWE.
It'd all be great. Thanks so much for calling.
That's Bruce Boudreau, one of the nicest gentlemen going. Like an absolute, like Bruce is so down to earth. It didn't like Bruce he'd run into you tomorrow if you just want to talk to him. I swear he would. He is just a genuine nice guy.
Like, until he goes crazy and starts swearing.
Well, yeah, but like he said, he goes, I don't even know what's coming out of my mouth. Like, I'm not really saying it to be mad. He gets fired up. He's a very emotional guy, which is a good thing. Right? And you talk to players, like they love Bruce Boudreau. Like when you look at his career, how long he played as a player up and down, like I think he played like 20 some pro seasons. He might've played 140 games in the NHL, right? But he was just grinding it out. And then he grinded it out as a head coach in the minors for a long time before he got his chance. And I love that. Now I went back and I was looking at the NHL website. And so they have all the wins and everything like that for, total. And I think he is.
Was he right with his own predictions of his own career?
Well, it says here, it's probably because now it would depend on if you include because they have him at he's got like 600 and some wins.
When he corrected you and said he was 621, not 5, whatever,
yeah,
I was like, I'm pretty sure Gregor knows better than you do, Bruce.
Well,
I'm sorry.
See, but no, I was looking at win percentage. He might be looking at points percentage. That might be the difference. And I might have said points percentage. But his win percentage is that, but his points percentage, because of obviously you get the loser points and stuff. So his points percentage, of course, is way higher than the wins percentage.
If our 5th question today in 5 questions was who would you trust more to know Bruce Boudreau's stats, Bruce Boudreau or Jason Gregor, I'd take you.
But to be honest, I was reading it. I don't have that one memorized. I got a lot of useless stats in my head, but
one of the creepy things about being live to watch this show is I think you read more than you do. You look off into the distance and pull these numbers out of the sky. And that is weird. Your brain, if we were to do like a pie chart, is like 99% sports information. It's impressive.
Jason Gregor, Wanye Gretz with you on Sports 1440. The text line 833-401-1440. We'll return. We got more from Wanye Gretz, Leon Draisaitl on Sports 1440. The Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
There's two seasons in Alberta, winter
Oh,
and construction. During these days of traffic barricades and slower commutes, GS Construction reminds you those crews are improving our communities. They're rehabilitating and upgrading Edmonton's infrastructure all across the city. When you see the barricades and run into a traffic backup, remember, the crews are there to help. Drive slow and be patient. Help make our city better and join the GS Construction team. See what they're hiring for on Indeed.com. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community since 1974.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
At The Brick, we're not just proud of this city and its rich sports history. We're proud partners of it. The Brick started right here in Edmonton over 50 years ago. And when we're not cheering on the Oilers and Oil Kings live at the game, or the Edmonton Elks under the bright stadium lights, we're in our stores, providing everything you need to cheer them on in your home. The Brick, supporting Edmonton sports teams and fans since 1971, saving you more.
Hey world, get ready to believe. At Oodle Noodle, we serve up world-class, worldwide flavors in our sweet, saucy, and fiery noodles. We believe in the power of nudes. We've got everything from saucy mac and cheese to sizzling pad thai to so many other unbelievable dishes sure to make you a noodle convert for life. You've got to taste them to believe it. Don't be a skeptic. The proof is in the noodles. Check us out at oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. We believe in noodles.
Come into Jiffy Lube for a Pennzoil Platinum full synthetic oil change and receive a $20 digital gift card to one of over 30 merchants, such as Cineplex or Bass Pro Shops. For a location near you, visit jiffylubeservice.ca. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving.
With over 380 conveniently located card lock locations, Co-op offers the largest card lock network in Western Canada, accessible right from the road. Count on us to keep you fueled 24/7. Right from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, through to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and all points in between.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday. Continuing on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Of course, you can always get involved. You can text us 833-401-1440 in our Jiffy Lube inbox. Stop in right now and you get the Platinum Pennzoil full synthetic oil change and receive $20 GC to over 30 local merchants. Sport local at Jiffy Lube. Great local company. I love it. Now, Positive Friday. And of course, a new addition on Positive Fridays. We will have Wanye Gretz as our Friday co-host, which is perfect because he's one of the more positive human beings that I've met. Well, excluding one thing, but we won't talk about on there. But there's one thing that Wanye is not overly positive about, but everything else, which is pretty good. Like if you're positive about everything, that'd probably be weird. But
I wonder what I'm not positive about.
Well, we don't want to get into.
We don't want to get into it.
We
Not
don't
on
want to
Positive
get into
Friday.
It. It's not on exactly.
Not on Positive Friday.
Maybe another time.
This show is action packed. Can I just say, longtime listener to the station, Impossible, is a good show.
Oh, well, buddy, it's getting better with you on it. We appreciate it.
Hey,
it'll be fun. Yes,
it'll be fun.
We got a lot of texts, guys. I have to say, who is this guy? It's hilarious. Well, it's Wanye Gretz from Oilers Nation.
Who is this guy? Do you have a computer? What on earth is going on?
Well, you know why? Because there's never been a picture of Wanye Gretz.
Well, I'm funny.
Yeah, I know, but people like, dude, it's 2023. People need to see to believe.
No,
They're
everybody
like, is this person real?
Real.
They wonder, like, is it real?
It's real.
Is it though?
In a world where everybody overshares and is so thirsty to document every part of their life, it's kind of nice to go the other way.
That's fair. Hey, guys, how I missed the Brass Bonanza. I did not know how much it meant. Thanks for bringing it back. Morgan. Hey, Morgs, you and me both, buddy. I love the brass. Hey, boys, it's Demo here. It's great to hear you all again. Doesn't matter if you're cutting someone up or propping them up. The biggest thing is all the charity work you guys are doing. Happy to have you back. Fantastic first week. Well, we appreciate it. You know what? This first week has blown by. It's been a lot of fun, and I think it's only going to get better as we get more games to talk about and more storylines, and we've got all the co-host additions to the show. Fantasy Frenzy's killing it in week one. Lowetide, of course, is Steady Eddie. I think Carius, his first week as a regular host, he's obviously filled in before, but I think Kevin Show's just getting better all the time, insightful, and he was. I think he was a little reserved because of personality that I know. I think people are going to see it more. A little bit of the snark will come out a little bit, the wit, and I'm sure eventually the Sam, the record man jokes, and some of the other ones are likely going to come out. Anybody who knows Carius knows the Sam, the record man for sure. Guys, I'd love to see Boudreau. Honest question, though. Do you think another team gives him a chance? It's a good question. As Wanye was saying during the break, it's a limited pool, right? Like there's not. So I can understand if you're a GM and maybe you've had to fire a coach and now you're like, geez, this might be the last coach I get to hire. I get fired.
I'm not going off grid. I'm going to go with somebody who's tried, tested, and true and has a .628 winning percentage.
Yeah. So it makes, I can understand why they would consider it. Right? Like it makes sense in that regard. Others would say, hey, he's been around, he's coached 1,000 games. Maybe it's time for someone else. So I get both sides, but I honestly believe it kind of depends on the direction of the organization. And honestly, like, does Bruce Boudreau want to come back and take over a rebuilding team? Like maybe he does, right? I think he loves the NHL gig, but I think if you put true serum in him, he'd probably want to just come back and have the opportunity to be on a competitive team.
If he's going to turn down a fake gig as a manager heel to hopefully coach in the NHL, I think you would coach any team. That's a conclusion I come to, Gregor. That was my first star interview I was a part of.
Okay, that's fair. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see how it plays out.
We should have asked him if he'll be back in the NHL.
Well, he basically he
said, I'm coming back in the NHL.
You think you're going to be back? Well, what's this going to say? No. I think I'm very hireable.
It's crazy the drive of people who play professional sports or coach because they're so singularly focused. Like talking with Sam Gagner, you're going to be back in the league. He's like, the knifing pain in my hips I've been experiencing for the past 3 years is gone for the first time ever. And you realize, like, if you're not that dedicated, if Bruce Boudreau isn't 100% committed to his craft, he doesn't have the job he has.
No, not at all. I should have pulled an Elaine Bennis there and gone with it. So tell me why you're coach worthy.
Oh,
right. Well, I eat right. I exercise. Yeah. I'll get rid of the sideburns. Oh, it's still one of the classics. The old sponge-worthy episode. Still one of the all-time classics. Hey, guys, why don't you get Wanye to wear a luchador mask and do the show? Ooh, now we're getting some good ideas in here, eh?
Do you know how hot it is in this studio, random commenter?
Yeah, that is the one thing that we're going to have to work on. It is pretty smoking hot in here.
It is positive Friday. I am positive it is hot in this studio.
Now, it's a big studio, though, thankfully.
Yes.
Because otherwise it'd be like, oh, my goodness. But like it might be tarps off soon. Like it's pretty
now
hot.
Now we're going to get some viewers.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Tarps off Gregor on YouTube does numbers.
Oh, I don't think so. So, I'm hitting the Peloton all right, but that doesn't really give you a lot of upper definition. That's the only problem, right?
Have you looked at some of our fellow citizens walking around in this mall? You put it on a graph, you're an Adonis.
Well, I guess in that sense, you're sure. Hey, if I could be anytime you're in the upper, 30% of anything, I'm like, hey, that's a win. I'll take that. That's a win. Right? Like I look at, because the one thing I am anal about is ever since I read the book and they talked about health, and for every guy, the easiest one is take your height, divide it in half, and that's what your waistline should be around your belly button. That's health. Because for most men, a lot of disease, it's a little, so that's the one thing I do measure. I don't really worry about weight anymore. I just worry about not having a little bit of the extra around there. So the extra sweat on the Peloton, it works. It works out. Wanye, thanks for joining us. Quick prediction, Elks, Stamps rematch.
Go Elks, baby.
What's the score?
Oh, I don't know. 100-3.
100-3. Awesome. We are coming up with Connor Halley in the final Sports 1440 update of the week. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Whatever you do, please do not drink and drive. Get home safe. Good night from the eWell studio. As always, it's a Jason Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to the Con Man and the update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay cool. Legacy Heating.